Chapter 677. Not only did the news of a rich family and a fake identity appear on the entertainment news, it even made its way onto the social news, causing everyone to discuss it enthusiastically. How could an identity be so easily impersonated? This nameless woman must be trying to get famous. I think she is quite mysterious. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but when Hua Wenfeng said that Tongning had injured her, an old friend appeared and said that she would take back what was rightfully mine, right? I actually feel that Hua Wenfeng has something to hide. Normally, when people hear about it, they would think it was funny. No one would step out to clarify it. What's there to clarify? Isn't it obvious that she's trying to hide something? But with the current technology, it's impossible for someone to impersonate someone else, right? The internet was already discussing the matter. This was much more interesting than a celebrity cheating. In fact, it was even more interesting than a TV series that people couldn't stop watching. If Hua Wenfeng steps out to clarify, then that woman will definitely retaliate. Let's just sit back and watch the show. Yes, let's watch the show. Since she was a celebrity, she was prepared to be exposed to the public. This was something that Mo Ting and Tongning had always agreed on. Since she enjoyed the treatment of an artist, it was normal for her to receive public scrutiny. Soon, it was the afternoon of Hua Wenfeng's press conference. Inside the fifth-floor lobby of the Hilton Hotel, Hua Wenfeng had invited reporters. She looked like she was ready to swallow Bai Lihua whole. Father Mo accompanied her the entire time like he was her strongest shield. But apart from him, she did not have a single member of her family or friends by her side. I apologize for my poor relationship with Tongning. Hua Wenfeng suddenly became polite and dignified as she bowed to the reporters. Family matters shouldn't be shown on the big screen and disturb the audience. But I can't tolerate this, Hua Wenfeng said with a sob. Hua Wenfeng held out the DNA report in her hands as she sobbed. Previously, Tongning told me in private that I wasn't Mo Ting's mother. At that time, I wasn't convinced, so I went to do a DNA test. The results are as you can see. There is no doubt that I am related to Mo Ting. But when I went to look for her, she claimed that the sample didn't come from Mo Ting, but from a maid. She even accused me of bribing the doctor. I felt extremely wronged. This isn't the first time Tongning has been selectively blind. Yet, when faced with something so scientific, she still managed to distort the truth. I can't take it anymore. She is indeed powerful. I concede defeat. And today, I'm going to show this evidence to everyone. What fake identity? What fake identity? This isn't a TV drama. If I'm really not me, wouldn't the people around me be able to tell? This is ridiculous. The more Hua Wenfeng spoke, the angrier she became. In the end, she threw the report on the floor. This is ridiculous. But the person that's ridiculous is you. A raspy voice suddenly sounded from the entrance of the hall. When Bai Lihua was young, she had also injured her throat. So if she spoke loudly, it would be very obvious. The reporters quickly turned to look at the entrance. Wearing a face mask, the legendary Ms. Bai appeared in front of their cameras. Meanwhile, Chun Xingyan followed closely behind to protect her. You've come at the right time. I wanted to know if this ridiculous incident was planned by you or Tongning. Hua Wenfeng stepped off the stage and ran over to Bai Lihua. Which part of you do you think looks like me? No one planned it. You were simply too cruel. Bai Lihua's eyes were filled with hatred and anger. Her eyes were red as tears almost rolled out of her eyes. You haven't forgotten about the explosion at the research lab from over 10 years ago, have you? What has that got to do with you? Bai Lihua sneered. She then removed her face mask and revealed her festering wound to the public. This wound was left behind by the explosion. Are you joking? What evidence do you have? Even if it's just a random wound, I can still say it was left behind by the explosion. Bai Lihua knew that Hua Wenfeng wouldn't admit to it, so she pulled out some other evidence. I know, it's been a long time and most of the evidence has been destroyed. But look at the thing in my hand. What is this? What are you trying to use to fool the public? Hua Wenfeng shrugged her shoulders and smiled. This is our DNA test results, Bai Lihua said loudly. At the same time, she flipped open the report and showed it to the media. Because we are identical twins, we look exactly the same. Most importantly, Because of this, you were given the opportunity to impersonate me. The only reason you can stand here confidently and claim that you are Mo Ting's mother is because you know that the DNA test results show that both twins are related to Mo Ting. As for me, the only fingerprint that can prove my identity was destroyed in the fire. In other words, you have no evidence to prove that I'm impersonating you. If you look at it from another angle, it looks more like you are trying to impersonate me. Hua Wenfeng laughed. Fine. Since you claim that I'm impersonating you, then no one has the right to say anything. The only person that has the right to say anything is my husband, Mo Xiaoyuan. Bai Lihua looked at Mo Xiaoyuan. Deep down, she knew that the chances of Mo Xiaoyuan helping her were slim to none. I'll give you 1 minute. Since you claim that you are Mo Xiaoyuan's wife, then prove it to me. Bai Lihua bit her lip. Just as she was about to speak, Mo Xiaoyuan cut in. You don't need to say anything. You are not my wife. My wife has always been Hua Wenfeng. I don't know what your intentions are, but I only have one word for you. Get lost. It seems that ugly people always cause trouble. Say one more word. Chen Xingyan yelled as she pointed to Mo Xiaoyuan's nose. You jerk. You don't even recognize your own wife, and have been played like a fool. If you say another word, I'm going to break your spine. Father Mo. Think about Mo Ting and then look at yourself. I'm starting to suspect that you are an impersonator. You, little bastard, don't try to confuse us. Did you think that you would be able to help your ugly mother? Hua Wenfeng redirected the conversation back to the main topic. The Bei family has never given birth to any twins, and I don't have any twins either. Stop trying to fool us. It seems you won't give up until you see your coffin. Bai Lihua looked at Hua Wenfeng coldly. Evidence? Show me. Hua Wenfeng's expression was arrogant. Chapter 678. You want evidence, right? A familiar voice once again sounded from the doorway. Soon, the shocked voices of the reporters could be heard. It's Tongning. It's actually Tongning. Tongning is here. But why is Tongning sitting in a wheelchair? No one expected that Tongning would personally make an appearance. But the most surprising thing was, Tongning appeared in a wheelchair. Seeing Tongning appear, Hua Wenfeng subconsciously furrowed her brows. She knew what it meant. As long as Tongning appeared, it meant that Bai Lihua would not lose this battle. Impossible. Hua Wenfeng clenched her fists. Bai Lihua couldn't produce any evidence to prove her identity. All she had to do was grit her teeth and endure. So, she struck first as she pointed to Tongning's nose. It's all because of you, you evil woman. Did you think you could defeat me with a series of schemes? Tongning was not Bai Lihua. Her expression was calm and collected. In fact, she looked like she was waiting to see Hua Wenfeng perform. Ms. Hua, you have overestimated yourself. Please don't add to the drama, Tongning said calmly. I really don't have the time to frame you. Then, why did you find someone to pretend to be me? Hua Wenfeng, I've told you before, this world is based on the cycle of cause and effect. As long as someone has done something bad, they will definitely leave behind a flaw. After speaking, Tongning gestured for Long Jie to show her evidence. You want evidence, right? In that case, I'll give it to you right now. Hua Wenfeng glanced at the evidence in Tongning's hands and laughed in disdain. What kind of evidence is that? I also have some. This DNA test was commissioned by the most authoritative organization. Did you think that identical twins wouldn't be able to identify Ting's mother? You're wrong. At most, it would take a bit of time and a bit of money. But, after spending an entire month working day and night, the staff from the forensics department finally discovered the subtle differences in your DNA. In fact, they even found over 20 places where Bai Lihua and Mo Ting's DNA were the same. As for the DNA sequences, you weren't involved. You say I'm selectively blind. What about you? At the same time, Tongning turned to Long Jie and said, Hairui will soon release an accurate comparison. If you don't believe me, you can give the Beijing Appraisal Center a call. This is an appraisal from the country. It can't be wrong. I used to study medicine, so I can understand this picture. In the same scene, Ms. Bai and President Mo are the same, but Hua Wenfeng is completely different. If this happens a few times, it will be obvious who the real mother is. This is solid evidence. Ironclad evidence. Hearing this, Hua Wenfeng's expression changed. She snatched the DNA test from Tang Ning's hands and looked at it. Seeing the clear markings on the test, Hua Wenfeng looked at Tang Ning in shock. Even though she already believed it and her lips were trembling, Hua Wenfeng still yelled at Tang Ning. This is impossible. Tang Ning, stop trying to confuse us with fake evidence. Whether they are trying to confuse the public or not, the media will naturally be able to tell. Tang Ning continued to play the game. That's right. Do you take us for fools? They are the most authoritative organization, a reporter interrupted. I never expected this. I originally thought this was impossible. I never expected the plot to turn around like this. Bai Lihua is actually Mrs. Mo. But what exactly is going on? Tang Ning, can you tell us the truth in detail? Hua Wenfeng noticed that the media's attitude had changed, so she quickly tried to stop Tang Ning. Tang Ning, how did I offend you? Why would you frame me like this? Tang Ning ignored Hua Wenfeng's roar as she turned to the media and looked at Bai Lihua with pity. I don't think I have the right to speak on this matter. Only Madame Bai Lihua can give you all the answers. You're all lying. You're all lying. Hua Wenfeng tried to stop Bai Lihua from going on stage, but Chen Xingyan pushed her away. Afterwards, Bai Lihua slowly walked to the front of the stage and looked at the audience. It was as if she had experienced the vicissitudes of life. 19 years ago, at noon, I was having lunch in the laboratory when there was a sudden explosion that sent me flying. When I woke up, I was already on the way to the hospital. The person who saved me told me that he found me in a remote mountain in the United States. I was covered in blood. I lay in the hospital for 8 months and received treatment for 8 months. But by the time I left the hospital, the research lab had already moved and my identity had been taken by someone that looked exactly like me. I didn't know who she was and I didn't know what her motive was. She and my husband loved each other. She called out my name and took everything that belonged to me. But because of my disfigurement, I couldn't appear in front of the public and I couldn't retrieve my identity. Eventually, I accepted the person that saved me and gave birth to an adorable daughter. I originally thought it was God's plan. But I never expected that Hua Wenfeng would use my identity to hurt my son and daughter-in-law. I can't accept this. What right does she have? She's just an impersonator. What right does she have? That's why I'm standing here today. Even if my face is disfigured, I will retrieve my identity and everything that belongs to me. I am the daughter of the Bei family and Mo Ting's mother. What is she? She is an impersonator. You're lying. Hua Wenfeng immediately retorted. You're the liar. You're trying to steal my husband and everything that belongs to me. I'm not interested in your husband. I just want my son and daughter-in-law to be safe, Bai Lihua said angrily. Since I'm already standing here today, I know that I can't make a rash decision without evidence. But you all seem to be curious as to why Tang Ning appeared in a wheelchair. In that case, let me tell you the answer. Someone spiked Tang Ning's chicken soup with quinidine and almost caused her to have a miscarriage. Bai Lihua, don't forget that you were the one that prepared Tang Ning's meals, Hua Wenfeng said coldly. Are you trying to frame me? No way. Knowing that Hua Wenfeng would deny everything, Tang Ning immediately called out to Bai Lihua. Mom, I will explain everything to the media. I was wondering why Tang Ning was in a wheelchair. It turns out she was poisoned like this. What is quinidine? What is it? It's an abortion drug that causes stillbirths. The media below the stage began to discuss amongst themselves. Chapter 679. My tolerance towards Madame Hua is obvious to all, Tang Ning said as she sat in her wheelchair. From the moment we first met, I'm sure the media is well aware of everything she has done to me. She slandered me for stabbing her, cursed my unborn child with an illness, visited me multiple times to humiliate me, and even spread rumors of me cheating on Nziheo. Finally, she spiked my chicken soup yesterday. Everything she has done has made me feel bitterly disappointed. Because I'm pregnant, I need to set a good example for my child. There are a lot of things that I don't want to deal with in public. But all I've gotten in return is worse. But patience will eventually come to an end, especially since the person you're trying to hurt is our unborn child. Today, not only am I here to seek justice for my mother-in-law, Madam Bai, I also want Hua Wenfeng to give me an explanation. Are you going to admit to the fact that you spiked my chicken soup with quinidine? Right now you have the upper hand. Whatever you say is the truth, Hua Wenfeng said in a resigned manner. In reality, she was pretending to be pitiful and pestering Tongning endlessly. She knew that Tongning had no evidence to prove anything. There was no way that Tongning could prove that she was guilty. You can even overturn a confession. I don't expect you to admit to anything, Tongning said coldly as she looked at Hua Wenfeng. Her eyes were filled with ridicule. Quinidine is not a prescription drug. It's not easy to get your hands on it. As a biological researcher, all your applications for quinidine need to be recorded. I've sent someone to your research lab and obtained a copy of your application for quinidine. Can you tell me where you used the drug? Of course I used it in my experiments. Experiments? Tongning laughed as her tone became even more frivolous. But you've already taken a few days off work. Where have you been conducting your experiments? You didn't take any of the equipment with you. Yet you took quinidine with you? How could it be such a coincidence? Simply because I applied for quinidine, you think I'm the culprit? I'm afraid that can't be used as evidence. Hua Wenfeng tried her best to argue. Then even if you can't tell us the use of quinidine, you can't clear your identity as a suspect, right? Tongning raised an eyebrow at Hua Wenfeng. Ask any doctor if they don't know where these drugs are. If you can't tell them what they are used for, if they're not used for illegal purposes, then what are they used for? On top of that, on the afternoon of the day of my accident, my back garden caught on fire. However, the surveillance cameras did not record the cause of the fire. Don't tell me that the plants in my garden would spontaneously combust in this weather. This proves one thing. The arsonist is extremely familiar with Hyatt Regency's surveillance system and was able to perfectly avoid it. What you're saying is also possible for Bai Lihua. Hua Wenfeng immediately pulled Bai Lihua into the room. How would I know if the two of you teamed up to frame me? Do you think, with all the crimes you've committed, will people believe you or us? Tongning looked at the media expectantly. In order to promote justice, the media naturally stood on the victim's side, whether it was Bai Lihua or Tongning. If it was according to my personality before I got pregnant, you would have been torn apart 10 times already. I would never allow you to lie here and make up the truth. What right does a person that is fake and would kill others for the sake of riches and glory have to speak? In the end, Hua Wenfeng couldn't win against Tongning in an argument, nor could she win against everyone's ridiculing gazes. In the end, Hua Wenfeng placed her pleading gaze on Father Mo as she ran over and grabbed onto him. Old Mo, we've been married for so many years. Tell me, who am I? Father Mo had already watched the entire incident unfold. As he looked at the woman in front of him, he felt a chill down his spine. Actually, I don't really know you. Father Mo replied in seriousness. Old Mo, it's not like that. Tongning and that woman framed me. The DNA report has already been released. Are you still trying to deny it? Father Mo forcefully pushed Hua Wenfeng away and pushed her to the ground in agitation. I was wondering why you took the quinidine. I never thought you would use it on Tongning. Did you know you were trying to kill someone? After being pushed aside, Hua Wenfeng immediately crawled back and hugged onto Father Mo's leg. Old Mo, it's not like this, it's not. The truth is right in front of our eyes. You have been pretending to be my wife from the beginning. You are a slut. I even tried to protect you and help you deal with Tongning. Now that I think about it, it's quite ironic. Old Mo, you need to believe me. We've been married for so many years. Don't say any more. You're making me feel disgusted. Father Mo trembled in anger. I always thought that Tongning didn't see the bigger picture, and that she was always targeting you. But I never expected you to be so cruel as to harm an 8-month-old child in her stomach. Tongning, call the police. I can testify that Hua Wenfeng took the quinidine and brought it home with her. Hearing this, Hua Wenfeng broke down as she lay on the ground and cried. Old Mo, you can't do this to me. I only did it because I was afraid of losing you. Unfortunately, I've already called the police. Seeing Hua Wenfeng's sorry state, Tongning was ready to kill her. Hua Wenfeng, since you like to complain so much, You should talk to the police. No, no. Hua Wenfeng was terrified as she crawled up from the ground and tried to escape. But with the current situation, how could she run away? I don't want to go to the police. I don't want to. However, at this time, Tongning watched as Hua Wenfeng and the reporters tangled together. She did not make a move to stop them, nor did she immediately call the police. She knew, exposing Hua Wenfeng wasn't going to let her off the hook. Father Mo then looked at Bai Lihua. Just as he reached out his hand to pull her away, Bai Lihua quickly dodged. You're not worthy. Father Mo looked upset. It was obvious that he was blaming himself. But Bai Lihua did not give him a chance to repent. Since you've been married to Hua Wenfeng for so many years, and you're willing to risk your life to protect Hua Wenfeng, then go ahead and chase after her. Although my face has been ruined, I am still the daughter of the Bei family and Mo Ting's mother. Mo Xiaoyuan, you are a jerk. After speaking, Bai Lihua stepped off the stage and approached Tongning. Father Mo's expression was sorrowful, especially when he thought about how he had previously treated Bai Lihua. Chapter 680. But who would have thought? The woman that had accompanied him for 19 years turned out to be an imposter. Meanwhile, his real wife had crawled out of the grave, enduring the most terrifying torture in the world. Everything had been taken away from her. Thinking of this, Father Mo's heart began to ache. He knew he had lost the right to face Bai Lihua. Hua Wenfeng was surrounded by reporters and had no way of escaping. Meanwhile, Tongning and the others left the Hilton Hotel under the protection of Chen Xingyan and the other bodyguards. At this moment, Tongning had no idea why Hua Wenfeng would suddenly become so ruthless and drug her after such a long period of peace. By the time she understood, Beijing was already in a completely different situation. Song Xian's popularity continued to rise because Hai Rui had filled up her schedule with jobs. Of course, although her popularity continued to rise, she was still a far cry from Tongning's. After Hua Wenfeng's press conference, Song Xian watched the video from her manager. She leaned back in her seat and clicked her tongue. I never thought that Hua Wenfeng would be KO'd so quickly. I thought she would be able to hold on for a little longer. How useless. What should we do now? This incident did not cause any harm to Tongning. Song Xian's manager put away the video and secretly glanced at Song Xian. Are we still going to continue fighting? Tongning is currently pregnant, so it's impossible for her to do any jobs. This is the period of my rise, so I need to make good use of these few months. I want to wait until she announces her comeback. By that time, Tongning's era will have completely turned over. Song Xian smiled confidently and closed her eyes to rest. Let's continue to observe her. She is out in the open and we are in the dark. How could we not find an opportunity? By the way, to prevent Hua Wenfeng from recognizing you, don't follow me around for a while. Or, make some changes to yourself. Song Xian's manager nodded her head and placed the electronic device to one side. But just because Song Xian didn't make a move, did it mean Tongning wouldn't find out? Not necessarily. After the press conference, the trio returned to Hyatt Regency. However, Bai Lihua was confused as to how Tongning had managed to produce the evidence in time. What was the DNA comparison all about? Xiaoning, when did you guys do the DNA comparison? With the help of Chen Xingyan, Tongning sat down on the sofa with a confident smile on her face. I tricked her. The information was compiled from information online. Bai Lihua froze for a moment. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What if the media calls the National Appraisal Center in Beijing? I simply said it came from a Beijing appraisal center. I didn't say which one. Everything else is just the media's speculation. It has nothing to do with me. After hearing Tongning's words, Bai Lihua felt helpless. The media doesn't need the truth. They just believe what they see in front of them. What happened today is enough for them to write a news article. This was the wisdom of Tongning. Not only did she understand Hua Wenfeng's thoughts, she was also able to control the thoughts of the media. Are you going to let that bitch off just like that? Chen Xingyan glared at Tongning. She hurt my mother and hurt you. Don't underestimate the trampling of the media. A black hole of a camera is more than enough to force Hua Wenfeng into a dead end. Of course, Tongning wasn't going to tell Chen Xingyan that there was a follow-up. After all, it was a matter between her and Mo Ting. Xiaoning, Mom really needs to thank you for this, Bai Lihua said as she tugged on Chen Xingyan's sleeve. Call her sister-in-law. A moment later, Chen Xingyan's face turned red. She was used to living a carefree life, so she never expected to have other relatives. Chen Xingyan scratched the back of her head. She couldn't bring herself to call her sister-in-law. Just like how, if Mo Ting was standing in front of her, she wouldn't be able to call him brother either. Wild Monkey, hurry back to the set. Don't keep causing trouble and letting Zihao take the blame for you, Tongning laughed. When have I ever let him take the blame? At this moment, Chen Xingyan had no idea that Zihao had been doing more and more for her in secret. However, Chen Xingyan did not delay. Although she wanted to find Hua Wenfeng and give her a good beating, she remembered Zihao's promise to the director. So she looked at him and said, "Let's go." Not bad. I thought after you became a rich heiress, you would become more delicate. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Chen Xingyan approached Zihao and grabbed onto his sleeve as they left Hyatt Regency. After boarding the car, Chen Xingyan couldn't help but ask, "If I want to beat someone up, can I?" "What do you think?" Zihao asked as he put on his seatbelt. "But my hands are really itchy. I'm afraid you won't even have the chance to hit me." After speaking, Zihao started up the car and sped back to the set. After all, any losses that the set suffered would all be on him. Chen Xingyan didn't understand what Zihao meant, but Zihao understood Tongning, because Tongning believed in an eye for an eye. Afterwards, in the cold Beijing night, Hua Wenfeng hid herself all over the place. It wasn't easy for her to get rid of the media. After confirming that no one was around, she climbed out of a pile of rubbish. At this moment she was cold and hungry, but she was in a sorry state and had nowhere to go. It didn't take long before two tall and strong bodyguards appeared at the end of the street. They immediately lifted Hua Wenfeng into a car and took her to an unknown location. "Who are you? What do you want? Tell me everything about how you poisoned Tongning. Otherwise, I will make sure you live in darkness for the rest of your life." Hua Wenfeng looked at the bodyguards and guessed that they were Tongning's people. So she began to tremble as she hugged herself. "Don't hurt me. As long as you tell me the truth." Hua Wenfeng had no way of escaping, but she was afraid that the bodyguards would use force on her. So, she explained how she hurt Tongning from beginning to end. Following the information that Hua Wenfeng provided, Tongning successfully found the bottle of quinidine. It turned out, the woman had mixed it in with the condiments in the kitchen. If she didn't admit it herself, who would have guessed? What a cunning woman. Of course, under the interrogation of the bodyguards, Hua Wenfeng revealed a lot of things that she shouldn't have. For example, why she poisoned Tongning. It was a short-haired woman. She claimed that she heard that Tongning wanted to take my organs to save her child. So I had no choice but to make a move on her. Tongning asked the bodyguards to ask for the woman's name, and asked them to prepare a photo. But even after looking through all the staff at Hairue, Hua Wenfeng could not recognize the woman. She could describe the woman, but Hairue did not have anyone who could. But there was one answer that was unquestionable, and that was, Hua Wenfeng did this to her, because someone was trying to sow discord. Chapter 681. The bodyguards even took Hua Wenfeng to Hairue to identify everyone. But no matter how hard Hua Wenfeng looked, she still couldn't find the culprit behind the incident. After all the questioning was over, Hua Wenfeng thought the bodyguards were going to let her go. Did Tongning really want to kill her? But Hua Wenfeng was wrong. Did she think that after torturing Bai Lihua for so many years and almost causing Tongning to die, she was going to let it go so easily? Afterwards, the bodyguards brought Hua Wenfeng back to the small, dark room. There was nothing inside apart from a metal window. "Let me go. What you're doing is illegal." Hua Wenfeng yelled at her surroundings. But no matter how hard she yelled, no one responded. Worst of all, it was already late at night. As Hua Wenfeng knelt on the ground, she suddenly smelled something burning. It didn't take long before a bright spark appeared. Hua Wenfeng was so scared that her body turned weak. She immediately stood up and frantically screamed for help. Is anyone there? There's a fire. There's a fire. No one paid attention to her, but the fire grew stronger and stronger. Hua Wenfeng felt like her skin was about to be scorched as her entire body was covered in sweat. But in this enclosed space, all she could do was curl up in a corner and cry in despair. Help! Help! I was wrong, I was wrong. Please let me out, I beg of you, Hua Wenfeng pleaded, but she didn't know who to turn to. The fire grew stronger and stronger. Was she going to die here? However, just as the fire was about to reach Hua Wenfeng's feet, the door to the small, dark room was suddenly unlocked. 2 bodyguards carried her out of the flames and threw her to the ground. Thank you. Hua Wenfeng lowered her head weakly as she lay on the ground. However, a cold voice suddenly sounded from above her head. No need to be so polite. Hua Wenfeng's body trembled as a sense of fear suddenly spread from her back to her entire body. She had just stepped out of the fire and her body was burning hot, but she didn't know why, but when she heard this person speak, she felt a chill down her spine, because the person standing in front of her was none other than her good son, Mo Ting. The lesson just now was for the explosion you caused 19 years ago. Even though, what you're going through right now isn't even 1,000th of what my mother did back then. Of course, we can forget about what happened in the past. I won't hold it against you, but... Drugging Tongning. Hearing the word medicine, Hua Wenfeng immediately backed away. She could already guess what Mo Ting was planning to do. I think it's better for us to return the favor. Hua Wenfeng shook her head in fear. No. Please don't. Pour it in. The cold and emotionless word floated into Hua Wenfeng's ears. Afterwards, the 2 bodyguards stepped forward. One held onto Hua Wenfeng while the other held onto her lower body. All that could be heard was the sound of water splashing as Hua Wenfeng's upper body was completely drenched. Mo Ting, if you kill me, you will also go to jail. Hua Wenfeng screamed as she lay on the ground. Kill you? Dream on. Mo Ting squatted down and glared at Hua Wenfeng with a cold and piercing gaze. How long have I tolerated you? But you don't know what's good for you. Of all the people you could hurt, why did you have to hurt Tongning? After speaking, Mo Ting stood up and brushed off the dust on his body. Don't worry, I run an entertainment agency, not a mafia. So, I won't do anything to you. But a joke like today, before you turn yourself in at the police station, we can play any time we want. I would like to see if you are willing to endure my torture, or go to jail. After speaking, Mo Ting turned around. Let her go in a moment. Tomorrow, we will play a more fun game. The bodyguards had actually worked for Mo Ting for quite some time, but it was rare for them to see him so angry. After all, Hua Wenfeng had hurt the person that he cared about the most. So they did not dare to disobey Mo Ting's orders. Hua Wenfeng felt like she was better off dead. Especially when she thought about how she was burned and drugged. She wanted to smash her head against the wall, so she wouldn't have to endure Mo Ting's torture any longer. Ms. Hua, we suggest that you turn yourself in. That way, you may be able to endure less torture. Mo Ting, you are indeed ruthless. In reality, no one had ever seen such a ruthless side to Mo Ting, even though he had told everyone from the beginning that he was never kind. Of course, it all depended on how Hua Wenfeng forced him. That night, Tongning had no idea that Mo Ting had left her side in the middle of the night. All she knew was, the next morning, she received news that Hua Wenfeng had turned herself in at the police station. Turned herself in. Was this something that Hua Wenfeng would do? Did she suddenly realize what was going on? Although Hua Wenfeng did not reveal the identity of the person that instigated her. At least, she was going to pay for what she had done. Tongning had a feeling that it was Mo Ting's doing. But she had no idea how he did it. As for the person hiding in the dark, Tongning built a high wall in her heart. One day the truth would be revealed. Hua Wenfeng's surrender was unexpected to everyone. So the media naturally rushed to the police station. But the police station was, after all, a government agency. No matter how anxious they were, they couldn't get a glimpse of Hua Wenfeng. After all, Hua Wenfeng would be spending the rest of her life behind these walls. But Hua Wenfeng's surrender also caused Song Xian's manager to have a drastic change in her image. The police went to Hai Rui to investigate, but Song Xian's manager was too cunning. She remained calm throughout the entire process, so it didn't take long for her to clear her name. She then followed Song Xian to her job. This Hua Wenfeng sure can't do anything right. Song Xian complained in disgust. She even left me in such a mess. It's fine. This is the only time no one suspects us, the manager comforted. Let's go, the interview is about to start. Don't get angry over someone like this. Of course, Mo Ting and Tang Ning had no way of confirming whether the person was from Hai Rui or not. But according to Mo Ting's strict nature, as long as there was a trace of suspicion, he would not let it go. Let's see how long the person could hide. Meanwhile, Chen Xingyan's identity as the princess of Hai Rui was also revealed. Just like that, she became the sister of the big boss of the entertainment industry. As a result, the way people looked at her changed. But she did not feel happy. Instead, she felt a little restricted. Her ultimate goal was to become a stunt double. But from the looks of it, it was becoming more and more impossible. From afar, Lin Xing noticed Chen Xingyan's discomfort. He couldn't help but laugh as he approached her from behind. What? Isn't it good to be Mo Ting's sister? What's good about it? From now on, when people mention me, they will point at me and ask, "Are you Mo Ting's sister?" Chen Xingyan rolled her eyes. I like to keep a low profile. It seems Ziheo's sincerity towards you was for nothing. Lin Xing sighed. Chapter 682. How did he treat me with such sincerity? Chen Xingyan asked as she tilted her head. How would I know? You have to ask him. Lin Xing decided not to reveal the truth. He wanted Ziheo to suffer a little. Meanwhile, Ziheo obediently made up for the day's losses. Even the director felt his heart ache. It must be a headache to deal with a seedling like this. Ziheo looked at Chen Xingyan in the distance and shook his head. She is a good seedling. She just needs time to prove herself. Among us, you're the only one that thinks she has unlimited potential, the director sighed. Ziheo smiled, not taking it to heart. Have you encountered some financial problems recently? If you need money, feel free to look for me. I can introduce you to some other jobs, the director offered enthusiastically. He simply wanted to show off his connections. Ziheo nodded his head and thanked the director with a smile. He wasn't at that stage yet. Chen Xingyan was indeed not hardworking enough, but she lived with her own personality. At times, Ziheo felt conflicted. Should he make her shine? Or should he let her continue living her own life? Afterwards, Ziheo left the set. That night, in order to make up for the missed scenes, Chen Xingyan had to film in the middle of the night. In fact, she had to film underwater scenes. However, Chen Xingyan was an agile monkey. She wasn't afraid of anything but water. So after a few dozen takes, she almost always failed. This made the director, who was covered in water, yell angrily from the shore. Do you even know how to act? Chen Xingyan trembled uncontrollably. All she could do was stand in the water and tremble. But, to be honest, because she was afraid of water, she did not put in all her emotions. Director, I'm sorry. Let's try again. The director held back his anger and returned to the camera. But this time, Chen Xingyan was in an even worse state. Lin Xing watched from the side. His assistant originally wanted to step forward to help, but Lin Xing stopped him. Let her learn a lesson. I'm not filming anymore. I've never seen such a lazy actress. On your own, you've made it impossible for the entire crew to sleep. Chen Xingyan lowered her head and stood up from the water. She then walked over to the director's side, completely soaked. Don't make me feel aggrieved. I feel aggrieved too. Ziheo, who paid the price for nothing, feels even more aggrieved. The director pointed at Chen Xingyan's nose and said, I know you are used to playing around and living the life of a stunt double, but you are now the female lead. Can you not be so selfish? Can't you think about others? Previously, in order to avenge you, Ziheo made American director Matt pay the price. He practically gave up his entire fortune. Even today, because of your stubbornness, Ziheo paid yet another bill. He was a rookie director with a bright future, but because of you, he almost gave up all his fortune. Don't you feel guilty? The director almost shouted the last sentence. Chen Xingyan's spirits were lifted after hearing this. Fuck off, fuck off. I'm not filming tonight. If it wasn't for Lin Sheng and Zihao, I would have fired you. Chen Xingyan opened her mouth, wanting to say something. But just as the words reached the tip of her tongue, she suddenly felt like she was trying to defend herself. And Zihao? For her? Scatter the family fortune? Chen Xingyan was a little helpless. She had no idea that Zihao had done all this for her behind her back. Director, let's try one more time. I'm not filming anymore. Zihao has done so much for you. But your performance tonight has allowed me to see how you have destroyed his trust, his efforts and his heart. After speaking, the director left. The other staff on set also looked at Chen Xingyan with deep meaning. They were disappointed that she didn't live up to their expectations. Shengge, the director's words were too harsh, Lin Sheng's assistant said after seeing the scene. After seeing the scene, Lin Sheng's assistant whispered in his ear. Chen Xingyan is a little afraid of water. Since she wants to be a celebrity that everyone attaches importance to, there's nothing she can't overcome. She has a mouth, so she can ask others how to overcome her difficulties. But she's young and arrogant, so she won't say anything. Lin Xing said as he gestured for his assistant to return to his room to get some rest. 1,000 Chen Xingyans can't compare to one Tongning. I mean when it comes to acting. Chen Xingyan was used to being muddle-headed. She had never suffered like this before. But this time, she didn't feel wronged at all. Because she actually felt a trace of self-blame in her heart. It didn't take long before Chen Xingyan returned to her room helplessly. However, at this time, the production director suddenly gave Zihao a phone call. I'm afraid I can't continue filming with that sapling of yours. While there isn't much to film, I'd rather find someone else to replace her. That way, we won't end up in a more passive position. From the director's voice and the timing of the phone call, Zihao could tell that the director had already tried his best. Who would call him in the middle of the night to complain? Zihao remained silent for a moment before he finally said to the director, How about this? Director, I have a plan. If she still can't do it this last time, you can replace her. When that time comes, I probably won't have any reason to continue. The director took a deep breath and calmed down. Okay, go ahead. But this will be the last time. Okay, Zihao nodded. That night, Chen Xingyan didn't sleep well. Her mind kept replaying the words that the director had said to her. Did Zihao really do all this for her? After a sleepless night, when she woke up the next day, she received news. The director gave your manager a phone call last night, and has decided to replace you. The director's assistant knocked on Chen Xingyan's door early in the morning. For someone like you who has no sense of teamwork and doesn't know how to be grateful, the director has no way of teaching you. It's best if you go back and look for your Zihao. Chen Xingyan had dark circles under her eyes. Originally, she was still in a daze. But as soon as she heard that the director had decided to replace her, she froze like she had been struck by lightning. After speaking, the assistant turned and left without giving Chen Xingyan a chance to explain herself. She was replaced just like that? Chen Xingyan sat in a daze for a few minutes before she remembered to give Zihao a phone call. I've been replaced. I know. Zihao replied calmly on the other end of the phone. It's perfect for you to continue your dream of being a stunt double. Chen Xingyan felt both angry and hurt at Zihao's words. Go home by yourself. I still have things to do. After speaking, Zihao hung up the phone. Chen Xingyan sat on the bed in discomfort. Suddenly, she began to panic. Was this all she would be like for the rest of her life? Dragging people down? Dragging people down. Chapter 683. Chen Xingyan couldn't understand, nor did she want to understand. So she got out of bed, tidied up a little, and returned to the set. She couldn't leave. Seeing that the staff had already started to set up the set, she quickly ran over to help. Let me do it, I'm strong. Miss Chen, if my sources are correct, you have already been replaced by the director, the lighting technician said as he glared at Chen Xingyan. You should go back, Don't waste your time here. Chen Xingyan refused to accept it, so she continued to pester other people. But overnight, everyone's attitude towards her changed. Worst of all, as soon as the director appeared on set, he completely ignored her and did not even look at her. Chen Xingyan had never been humiliated like this before. But when she thought about the consequences of her own actions, she could only take a deep breath and hold back her tears. Director, please let me come back. I will definitely do my best this time. Let you come back? It wasn't easy for me to convince Zihao to give up on you. How could I let you come back? The director laughed as he spoke. But to Chen Xingyan his laughter was extremely sarcastic. I once gave you a great opportunity, but you didn't take it. Instead, you fooled around all day and didn't take anyone seriously. Instead, you focused on being a stunt double. Now you can do whatever you want. No one can stop you. Chen Xingyan endured the director's insults and held back her tears. After quite some time, she finally said, I can be a handyman for free. After hearing this, the director scanned Chen Xingyan from head to toe. You are just a handyman. Do whatever you want, as long as you don't appear in front of me. Chen Xingyan seemed to have seen hope as she immediately regained her energy and began to help out on set. Lin Sheng spotted the lively Chen Xingyan from afar and couldn't help but smile. If she's smart enough, she will know how to turn defeat into victory. That is, to observe Shenggu carefully while you act. Lin Sheng's assistant laughed. Back then, even Tongning had benefited a lot from Lin Sheng's notes. Lin Sheng was, after all, a 3-time Best Actor winner. In terms of acting, he was on par with Bai Qindong and the others. Let's go, it's about to start. This was exactly what Chen Xingyan had in mind. While she was doing odd jobs on set, she would sneak a peek at Lin Sheng's acting. The feeling of being able to act to her heart's content made her realize just how amazing acting was. Sometimes, Lin Sheng would ask the director to change roles, and the director would be curious about Lin Sheng's performance. But only Lin Sheng's assistant knew. Lin Sheng's motive was to show Chen Xingyan how the character should be and how she should perform. That night, Zihao busied himself for the entire day. After not seeing Chen Xingyan, he finally gave her a phone call in the middle of the night. Why aren't you back yet? At this time, Chen Xingyan was standing by the edge of the pool. She really wanted to overcome her fear, but she still lacked the courage to do so. I do odd jobs on set, Chen Xingyan replied. I need to make money to pay you back. All right, you don't have any shows to take on now anyway. It won't be so boring staying there. And Zihao's words were polite and cold. As a result, Chen Xingyan found them particularly piercing. This was probably Zihao's reaction to her disappointment. Zihao, speak. Forget it, it's fine. Chen Xingyan wanted to ask if Zihao was annoying her, but she couldn't bring herself to do so. Ever since she was young, she had always been the king of children, and was used to being arrogant. So, she had always been a loner, and had never understood teamwork or modesty. She had always felt that as long as she was happy, it didn't matter if others were unhappy. But how could she have imagined that there was someone like Zihao in this world? She actually liked her loner self, but, with this thought, she did not think too much about it as she placed her phone by her side and jumped into the pool. Afterwards, she followed the instructions online, and attempted to stabilize her footing in the pool. In fact, she managed to do it step by step. In the end, that night, she repeatedly jumped into the pool, and came out of the pool until her hands were white and wrinkled. The next morning, as soon as Chen Xingyan saw the director, she immediately ran over to him. Director, I'm no longer afraid of water. I can finish the rest of the scenes. However, the director scanned her from head to toe and said, If you are afraid of water, I will give you time to practice. If you are afraid of mountains, do I have to raise them to the ground? However, this is secondary. What about your acting skills? Do you have any? Chen Xingyan was stumped by this question, but she continued to endure. At least, she had already overcome the most difficult obstacle. Although the director scolded her, he turned a blind eye to Chen Xingyan's behavior. Under normal circumstances, the set would have to be cleared, but the director gave her the right to enter the set. As usual, Lin Sheng liked to play different roles. After a few tries, Chun Xingyan understood his intentions and decided to keep a notebook on her. Seeing that she was lying on the floor taking notes whenever she had nothing to do, the director sneered during a break. The assistant director glanced at her and couldn't help but laugh. She's quite persevering. Even after you scolded her like that, she didn't leave. If she left just like that, Nziheo would probably hang himself, the director replied carelessly. The director replied nonchalantly, even if you're so serious, your acting skills might not improve. Just wait and see. So Chun Xingyan was extremely busy on set. On one hand, she had to build a good relationship with the crew. On the other hand, she had to observe Lin Sheng's acting. At night, she had to practice on her own, and during the day, she had to do all sorts of chores. But this training was obviously effective, even though the director still didn't allow her to act. Soon a new female lead arrived on set. Chun Xingyan felt like she had suffered yet another setback. She never expected that, despite her hard work, the director still wouldn't budge. Xingyan, the new female lead, is arriving today. It's best that you go home. The staff on set were afraid of provoking her. The staff present were afraid that they would agitate her, so they advised her in private. Actually, it's already a foregone conclusion. No matter what you do, you can't change it. Chun Xingyan was actually quite upset, but she continued to smile. It's fine. Didn't you say that the lamp rack is too heavy? I'll carry it for you. But this is too cruel. No matter how cruel it was because she didn't work hard enough. She couldn't blame anyone. Chun Xingyan wanted to call Tongning to complain and ask what she should do. But Tongning was about to give birth, so she didn't want to cause any more trouble. A new female lead? Then let's show her how strong her opponent is. Chapter 684. Recently, the most famous person in Hyrule was none other than Song Xian. Song Xian's song sales topped the charts, her script was a hit, and her variety show style made Song Xian's name very popular in Beijing. In fact, she was referred to as a once-in-a-century talent in the music industry. Hyrule was already preparing to release her first EP. In the near future, her popularity would soar to an unimaginable level. But unfortunately, she didn't have much of a topic to talk about. She was popular, but not as memorable as Tongning. So, even if she wanted to surpass Tongning, she didn't have the ability to do so for the time being. After the incident with Hua Wenfeng, Tongning became even more indoors. Even when there was an important event, she completely avoided it because she had to take care of the child in her stomach. Tongning continued to investigate the person that was trying to sow discord between Hua Wenfeng and Hua Wenfeng. But if even Hua Wenfeng couldn't recognize the person, how was she supposed to find any clues or information? Over the past couple of days, Mo Ting had been leaving early and returning late. The couple didn't even get to see each other, let alone have a private conversation. Every time Tongning woke up, she would want to chat with Mo Ting. But when she saw his tired expression, she couldn't bear to do so. Seeing this, Bai Lihua couldn't help but ask, Mo Ting is so busy, yet you don't seem to complain. Don't you think he spends too little time with you? Due to the influence of quinidine, Tongning had been reading simple medical books. Hearing Bai Lihua's question, she shook her head. What's there to complain about? I understand him better than anyone. What if he's actually doing something else behind your back? Haven't you noticed that he's been spending quite a bit of time next door lately? Bai Lihua asked with a deeper meaning. I only saw him this morning. Instead of going to Hyrule, he went next door. Tongning put down her medical books and lifted her head to look outside. How could that be? Why don't I go with you and have a look? Who knows, we might bump into him. Although Tongning did not believe Bai Lihua's words, she still wanted to know what mysterious things Mo Ting was up to. So, she stood up from the sofa and walked out of the house with Bai Lihua. They then headed next door. A group of workers were busy working next door. As soon as they saw Tongning, they immediately called out, Madam, you are interrupting our work. Wasn't there someone living here before? Tongning asked curiously. There used to be, but it has been bought by someone else. It should be some big boss who wants to keep a mistress. The worker sighed as he turned around and continued with his work. However, Bai Lihua's expression was a little ugly, even though no one could see her expression. Xiaoning, do you want to give Mo Ting a phone call? Tongning shook her head casually. No need. When Ting wants to tell me, he will. After speaking, Tongning turned around and returned to her home. After a while, the construction worker finally remembered Tongning's name. Wasn't that Mo Ting's wife, Tongning? Could it be that she had fallen out of favor so quickly? Otherwise, why would he buy a house next door when he already had his own home? If this wasn't a ghost, then what was it? Don't you want to take advantage of your wife's pregnancy to find a lover? Shut up. Talk less and work more. The supervisor knocked on the worker's head and warned. Look at how pregnant Tongning is. She looks so pitiful. You're not allowed to say things like this. In reality, Bai Lihua had not spent much time with Tongning and Mo Ting. All she knew was that the couple got married in a flash and never had any arguments. So, she had no idea how Tongning and Mo Ting interacted and how much trust Tongning had in Mo Ting. Especially when Tongning was about to give birth at a sensitive time like this. Xiaoning, I'm sure Mo Ting has his reasons for doing this. Tongning smiled gently without saying a word. That afternoon, the new female lead arrived on set. As it was a last-minute change, the director couldn't invite a big name. After all, the schedule was a problem. So Lin Sheng was enough. As long as the female lead wasn't as half-hearted as Chen Xingyan. As soon as the female lead arrived on set, she treated everyone to a big meal. She was so generous that she easily outweighed Chen Xingyan's small favors. Most importantly, after seeing her audition, the director decided on her after just one scene. He even ordered her to change out all the scenes that Chen Xingyan had previously filmed. Chen Xingyan continued to do odd jobs on set, but everyone looked at her sympathetically. Some even asked her why she insisted on not leaving. Chen Xingyan didn't know why, but she didn't want to fail. It was just that tonight was going to be a tough night. Lighting technician, hurry up and add some light. Actors, go get some rest. Hearing the director's shout, Chen Xingyan walked onto the set. As soon as the young actress saw her, she asked, "Are you okay? You're the female lead from before, right? I've heard about what happened to you. I'm sorry for stealing your role." The other party had a blanket draped over him, and his expression was somewhat wanton. How could he possibly have the intention of apologizing? Of course, he also mocked Chen Xingyan a little. "I understand you. After all, you're just a stunt double. You won't be able to adapt to suddenly having to move to the front of the stage." After speaking, the woman glanced at the clothes on the chair and said, "Could you please hand me the clothes? You are currently a staff member. I don't think you'll have any problems doing something as simple as this, right?" If this was in the past, Chen Xingyan would never have tolerated it. But now, she was like a hedgehog that had its spines pulled out. No matter how much it hurt, she had to endure her anger and hand the clothes to the woman. "My assistant isn't feeling well after the long journey, so she's resting in her room. You can follow me tonight. As for your pay, I won't treat you badly." Director. Okay, seeing that the woman was about to call for the director, Chen Xingyan immediately agreed. "I'll be your assistant." "That's good. I'm about to film my next scene. Help me find a makeup artist." "You don't need me to teach you this, right?" Chen Xingyan was frustrated as she turned around and ran off set. But after a long time, she still couldn't find the makeup artist. As soon as she returned to the woman's side, she was immediately slapped across the face. "What kind of assistant are you? I told you that I was about to film my next scene. Yet you spent 10 minutes looking for a makeup artist." Everyone on set was dumbfounded. The woman was too arrogant. How dare she hit Chen Xingyan? "I don't care if you're Mo Ting's sister or not. Once you're on set, you're just a staff member and a useless, nameless nobody." Chen Xingyan looked back at the woman. The murderous intent in her eyes made it seem like she could rip the woman in half at any moment. "What are you trying to do? Did you think I'd hit you?" Chen Xingyan asked coldly. "I want to see how you're going to complete your next scene without a stunt double," the woman replied. "Even if I don't do well, it won't be your turn." Chapter 685. Zihao arrived just in time to see the man slap Chen Xingyan. He had promised not to move, but seeing Chen Xingyan being humiliated in such a way and his legs not listening to him, his right foot took a step forward. However, it was only one step before he quickly retreated. He couldn't let his protectiveness ruin a great opportunity for Chen Xingyan's growth. In reality, because of Chen Xingyan's nimbleness, the director did not prepare a stunt double. She herself was the best stunt double for the role. But after the change, the director specifically found a stunt double. It wasn't because Chen Xingyan did not have a stunt double to help her. The man looked at Chen Xingyan with ridicule, thinking that she was too naive and stupid. The one without a stunt double is you, not me. So, Chen Xingyan watched as Tongning went up on stage to look pretty, while the stunt double handled all the action scenes. This isn't fair. Chen Xingyan couldn't hold back the anger in her heart. She walked up to the director and said, "Director, can you let me act in this scene? I'll give it a try." "Go away, don't waste my time," the director said impatiently to Chen Xingyan. "Director, you should know how high Lin Shang's expectations are. Compared to a stunt double, I'm sure he'd be more willing to work with a real actor." Chen Xingyan chased after the director, trying to find an opportunity for herself. After hearing this, the director turned to look at Chen Xingyan and nodded his head. "What you say makes sense. In order to create a realistic effect, it is necessary to look at the acting skills of the actors. How about this? You and Exquisite act together." Acting together? How could there be a scene where they could fight each other? It was more like getting beaten up. "What? Are you afraid? It's fine if you don't want to act. I'll do it," Chen Xingyan said firmly as she grabbed onto the director's arm. "If I can act well with her, will you let me try out her scene again? You go." And Zihao stood not too far away as he watched Chen Xingyan grab onto the director's right hand. She was no longer as willful as she used to be. She was obviously using some strength. No wonder she was willing to play the role of a passerby who was beaten up by the director. Seeing that Chen Xingyan was serious, the other party was afraid that his role would be snatched away again, so he did not use a body double and went on stage himself. But the scary thing about the setting was that Chen Xingyan could only take a beating and couldn't fight back. "Come, Linglong, be careful. Let's begin," the director reminded the actress called Linglong. He then gestured for the clerk to hit the board. He refused to believe that Chen Xingyan could endure being punched and kicked by others. But as soon as filming began, everyone was shocked. Not only did Chen Xingyan endure Linglong's lecture, she also immersed herself in her role. In reality, when it came to action scenes, the director was very confident in Chen Xingyan. However, her emotional scenes made people anxious, because this was what she was good at. But not only Chen Xingyan, even the bystanders were worried. After all, Linglong's punches and kicks were stronger than anyone else's. In the distance, Zihao watched as Chen Xingyan took a beating. All he felt was the pain of all the punches landing on his body. But Chen Xingyan held back. Not only did she not say a word, she even completed the entire scene professionally. "Director, what do you think?" The director did not say a word as he turned to leave. At this time, the majority of the crew had already noticed Zihao, including Linglong. The director approached him and said to Zihao, "You saw the scene just now. Why don't you take Linglong on as an artist as well?" And Zihao knew that the director was deliberately provoking Chen Xingyan. Meanwhile, Chen Xingyan looked at Zihao anxiously. Seeing that he did not respond, the light in her eyes slowly dimmed. But thinking about how Linglong had deliberately tried to get revenge on Chen Xingyan, Zihao stepped forward, removed his suit jacket and placed it on Chen Xingyan. He then said to everyone, "One Chen Xingyan is enough." After speaking, Zihao led Chen Xingyan away. Chen Xingyan struggled a little as her heart warmed up, but she still furrowed her brows. "I still need to continue filming. It's just a child's play. What else is there to film?" Zihao secured her under his shoulder and led her back to his room. He then sat her down on the sofa and lifted her shirt. "Hey," Chen Xingyan immediately struggled. "I just wanted to see if there were any bruises," Zihao explained. "Are you still going to mess around with your role from now on? If you were given the role back, would you be able to act it well?" "Of course," Chen Xingyan replied confidently. But she didn't understand what Nziheo was trying to say. In a moment, I'll take you to do some physical therapy. Did you spend a lot of money on me? In the quiet space, Chen Xingyan was so nervous that she could feel her own heartbeat. But she was afraid that if she didn't ask him now, she wouldn't know when she would get another chance. Aha, I spent a little. Nziheo did not deny as he nodded his head. I will definitely focus on filming and help you earn back the money you spent. Nziheo looked at Chen Xingyan from behind as he placed his hands on her shoulders. In reality, he really wanted to hug her. Perhaps because of their telepathic connection, Chen Xingyan couldn't help but lean back against Nziheo's chest. I'm out of energy. Nziheo did not expose her as he quietly let her lean against him. If only you could be like Tongning and not make people worry about you. Wouldn't that be great? Chen Xingyan closed her eyes and suddenly thought of Nziheo's words. He would never make the same mistakes as before. Should she restrain herself a little? What if? Thinking of this, Chen Xingyan wanted to stand up, but Nziheo pulled her into his embrace. If you want to lean against me, then lean against me. Don't move. But aren't we a little too intimate like this? Did you think I wouldn't be able to tell that you like this type of intimacy? Nziheo whispered into Chen Xingyan's ear. Chen Xingyan's ears immediately turned red as she covered her burning cheeks. I think this is the first time I've fallen in love with someone. I think I've fallen in love with you. Me too. Nziheo quickly replied. You too. Chen Xingyan turned around and looked at Nziheo. Didn't you say you wouldn't make the same mistakes as before? That doesn't seem to have any effect on you. Nziheo had surrendered to himself and also surrendered to Chen Xingyan. For him to do so much for Chen Xingyan, what other reason could it be? Wasn't it because he cared and liked her? In that case, what should we do from now on? Nziheo looked at Chen Xingyan's helpless expression and couldn't help but hook his arm around the back of her head as he kissed her. He didn't care about the future, he was going to steal a kiss first. Taking her in as his subordinate and training her like this, wasn't it all to turn her into his girlfriend? Chapter 686. Over the past 2 days, Hu Jingjing's condition had improved a lot. Tongning visited her at the hospital. Seeing her complexion looked good, she gradually relaxed. However, why are you standing at the door? Aren't you tired? Isn't the thing in your stomach protesting? Hu Jingjing saw the serious expression on Tongning's face, so she tried her best to smile. Where's Fangyu? I've taken Xiaoyu to school, but she's about to go on a few days' break. I'm afraid Fangyu won't be able to take care of her, so I was about to give you a call to see if I could let you go for a few days. Hu Jingjing gestured for Tongning to sit down. What's the problem? Tongning sat on the edge of Hu Jingjing's bed. Her gaze couldn't help but fall on her tightly bandaged leg. Recently. You don't have to tell me. I know it myself. It's been so many years since I've had this much rest. Sometimes getting injured isn't all bad. I also know what you want to tell me. When I recover, the outside world may be a different world, but what can I do? After all, I'm already this old. I can learn from you and retire and focus on taking care of Fangyu and Xiaoyu. Are you willing? I love Fangyu and I also love my family. As long as I have a family, I don't care if I don't want to or not. Hu Jingjing shrugged her shoulders. My value can't only be displayed on the runway. After all, Hu Jingjing was someone who had been through a lot. If she couldn't even see through this, then wouldn't she have suffered in vain? Back then, Fangyu didn't look down on me because I was a broken shoe that everyone scolded. He still doted on me and respected me. Actually, I want to make a little sacrifice for the sake of my family, especially since he's so tired. After hearing Hu Jingjing's words, Tongning nodded her head in relief. As long as you can get over it. I'm really fine. As for you, just as Fangyu was about to leave, I received a phone call from Auntie. She asked me to comfort you. She didn't want you to think too much. What happened between you and President Mo? Could it be that CEO Mo has really found another woman? Tongning did not say anything. Tongning, even I trust President Mo, don't tell me you don't trust him. Moreover, even if other women come knocking on your door, who can really defeat you? Mom has never seen the way we interact, so she's worried. Dun did not know whether to laugh or cry as he explained. Tongning accompanied Hua Jingjing until Fang Yu returned to the hospital. Fang Yu promised to drop Xiao Yu off at the company in the afternoon after school. In order to personally pick up the child, Tongning decided to head straight to Hai Rui and rest in Mo Ting's office. During this time, she would occasionally sneak a peek at Mo Ting, who was busy working. Seeing nothing out of the ordinary, she let out a gentle laugh. Mom saw you going next door. Why did you buy next door? Hearing Tongning's question, Mo Ting lifted his head. I bought it for my little lover. I plan to connect the two villas together. Do you want them to live next door after the baby is born? This was what Tongning guessed. Although this man didn't have a lover like Bai Lihua thought, there was indeed something strange about him. I asked a lot of people around me. Everyone said that once a mother has a child, all her attention will be focused on the child, and the father will become the background. So even President Mo is afraid of becoming a part of the background. Tongning couldn't help but laugh. Aren't you childish? But President Mo, have you ever thought about it? When the child is born, you will be the one to take care of it. I won't interfere. Tongning's voice was filled with a sense of playfulness. You should stop doing boring things like this. You've made Mom misunderstand. Misunderstand what? Misunderstand that you found a lover behind my back, Tongning replied. What about you? What do you think after hearing this? My first thought was, if President Mo was truly a playful person, he wouldn't have randomly found a woman to marry before me. It's not because of my confidence, but because of other women? You didn't even bother to look at them. Tongning smiled the entire time. Actually, I can feel that my husband cares about me even more than before, because he's afraid that the little one will come out and compete with him for his affection. This was Mo Ting's unique possessiveness. He was even wary of his own child. But this also proved one thing. Tongning's place in his heart practically occupied his entire heart. It didn't take long before Fang Yu led Xiao Yu into Mo Ting's office. As soon as he saw Tongning, he thanked her tiredly. I can't take care of you anymore. Sorry for troubling you. Take good care of Jingjing, Tongning instructed as she took Xiao Yu from Fang Yu's hands. Seeing that she was obedient, she held onto her hand and led her to the sofa. Xiao Yu, do you like it here? Fang Yu scanned her surroundings and nodded her head. I like it. Just as Tongning was about to give her the candy that she had prepared, Xiao Yu grabbed onto the corner of her shirt. Auntie, you just saw. Saw what? Tongning lowered her head and patiently listened to Fang Yu's stutter. That auntie. What auntie? It's. Fang Yu didn't know how to explain, so she dragged Tongning out. Tongning was pulled by Fang Yu to the waiting room. What's wrong? You? Through the half-closed door, Fang Yu pointed to a round bag with a picture of a dog on it and said, The day Mummy was bitten by a dog, you saw this bag. After hearing this, Tongning was a little surprised. She quickly asked, Are you referring to the night Jingjing was bitten? Yes, an auntie walked past the door carrying this bag. You saw it and thought it was beautiful. You loves it. Just a moment ago, you saw the auntie walk in carrying this bag. Tongning held back the excitement in her heart, and did not poke her head into the room. She simply held onto Yuer's hand and left calmly. Song Xian's room number was written on the door. Children always had a deep impression of things they liked. She may not have been able to explain it, but she would remember that moment. After returning to Mo Ting's office, Tongning recounted everything that Yuer had said to her. Before Jingjing's accident, she had spoken to me on the phone. She was suspicious of someone, so after Jingjing's accident, I insisted on investigating the truth. At that time, all of my suspicions were overturned. But, who would have thought, after so long, the truth would come to me so easily? Hua Wenfeng also mentioned that the culprit was from Hai Rui. I think it's time to start investigating. Mo Ting closed the last document in his office and walked over to Tongning. He then pulled Fang Yu into his embrace. Let's go home. Song Xian would never have imagined that even though her manager had completely changed, she was still betrayed by a bag. Some people would think, why couldn't it be the same bag? But with so many coincidences, could it be a coincidence? Chapter 687. So, it wasn't too difficult to prove whether the person was Song Exion's manager or not. By secretly investigating her whereabouts and paying attention to her actions, one could obtain a lot of surprising information. This person is called Jinghong. She has been a good friend of Song Exion's for many years. The two have worked together for a long time. In such a short period of time, Song Exion was able to rise in the industry not only because of the platform provided by Hairue, but also because of her manager. Duan Jinghong knows how to use Song Exion's strengths, especially her background. She easily secured endorsement deals and is a cautious and scheming person. Because of this, she is deeply trusted by Song Exion. With their strengths complementing each other, it didn't take long for them to occupy half of the entertainment industry. In addition, Duan Jinghong has always had short hair. But I'm not sure when she started wearing a wig and covering her nose. I heard she had a rhinoplasty. This was the result of Hairue's HR manager's investigation. However, Duan Jinghong's exact whereabouts could only be determined based on Song Exion's recent activities. Plus, how could she possibly let anyone find out about her secretive actions? As for the bag that the madam asked us to investigate, it is Valentino's latest product. It is a global commemorative edition, and there are no more than 5 of them in total. So the chances of us bumping into each other are very small. After hearing the manager's words, Tongning thought about other questions and asked, when did Duan Jinghong start wearing wigs? It happened a few days ago. If I remember correctly, it was around the time of Hua Wenfeng's press conference. No wonder Hua Wenfeng had no clue how to identify people at Hairue. Even a rabbit had 3 burrows, let alone a fox. Pretend today's incident never happened. Don't let a third person know that I asked about Duan Jinghong. Don't worry, madam, I will keep this a secret. Tongning nodded her head and gestured for the manager to return to his post. However, her expression did not look good. If her existence made Song Exion hostile, then how had Hu Jingjing offended her? Her leg had almost been bitten off by a vicious dog. Most importantly, she had used Xiaoyu Air, who was only a few years old. How could Duan Jinghong hurt such a young child? Fang Yu will naturally deal with Hu Jingjing's matter. I want to know more about how she instigated Hua Wenfeng. These were Mo Ting's exact words. However, it wasn't hard for Tongning to detect a hint of danger in his voice. Tongning did not dare to ask any further. She already knew what Hua Wenfeng experienced the night before she turned herself in. Even though she didn't find out from Mo Ting. If Duan Jinghong really had something to do with this incident, the man sitting in front of the office table would definitely not let her off easy. Since Duan Jinghong was Song Exion's manager, it meant Song Exion was well aware of this matter. In fact, she could even be the mastermind. Someone seemed to be challenging the authority of the man in front of him. So he gave Fang Yu a phone call. From now on, create some trouble for Song Exion. Song Exion had no idea that she had already fallen into Tongning's range of suspicion. She was still dreaming of surpassing Tongning in a few months' time. She was indeed a king, and enjoyed the feeling of looking down on others. But she didn't always end up in first place without a doubt. As soon as Fang Yu received the news, he was a little surprised. He had no idea how Song Exion had angered Mo Ting. But even so, Fang Yu still did as he was told. Song Exion originally had an appointment for her talk show that night. As a talk show that was loved by the international audience, this appointment would definitely help her gain popularity and fame. But to Song Exion's surprise, even though she did participate in the talk show, the amount of screen time that the production crew gave her was extremely little. What was going on? She was currently very popular. Was the production crew blind? After the recording of the talk show ended, Duan Jinghong approached the producer. At first she asked politely, "Sir, may I ask if Song Exion has offended you in any way?" No, the 40-something-year-old producer immediately shook his head. In that case, didn't you give Song Exion a little too little screen time? Oh, you think it's too little? Then cut it all out. After speaking, the producer left without looking at Duan Jinghong. Duan Jinghong was so angry that she wanted to vomit blood. But the producer was a top producer. No matter how brave she was, she wouldn't dare to challenge him at a time like this. Unless Song Xian didn't want to stay in the industry anymore. But no matter how she thought about it, she couldn't accept it. A moment later, Duan Jinghong returned to Song Xian's side and explained the entire situation to her. But Song Xian did not show a trace of anger. She simply asked, "Did you mention my background to him?" "He didn't give me a chance." "Give Hai Rui a phone call and tell them to contact Fang Yu." There was no doubt that Song Xian was talented. In fact, she was quite talented. But unfortunately, she never hid her abilities. Even though it was already late at night, if she wanted to see Fang Yu, she had to find out where he was and ask him to deal with her matter. Fang Yu was, of course, at the hospital with his phone turned off. He predicted that Song Xian would look for him afterwards. But by doing this, Song Xian ended up giving Lu Che a phone call. At this time, Lu Che was driving Mo Ting and Tongning home. As soon as he received a phone call, he immediately stopped his car by the side of the road and picked up the phone. "Assistant Lu. Our Song Xian has been wronged tonight. Hai Rui can't ignore it." It wasn't convenient for Lu Che to drive. So after hearing this, Tongning said, "Give me your phone. Continue driving." Lu Che immediately handed his phone to Tongning. Tongning glanced at Mo Ting and asked in a low voice, "What did she do?" "You are? I want to know who taught you these rules. How did you bypass Fang Yu and contact the CEO directly?" Tongning's words were calm, but her tone was filled with authority. How high is Song Xian's status? Is she trying to gain the CEO's favor?" After 2 sentences, Duan Jinghong finally recognized Tongning's voice. So, she responded calmly. "Mrs. Mo, you are just an artist of Hai Rui. Plus, the CEO didn't respond to me and asked you to answer my phone call. Is Hai Rui simply a toy that the CEO gave you? In other words, he had no right to interfere with her. If I put Ting on the phone, it will only make things worse for you." Tongning replied honestly. "What does that have to do with you?" Tongning sneered as she handed the phone to Mo Ting. But Mo Ting did not even glance at it as he said, "Tell her direct superior to come to my office tomorrow." What an unruly brat. Chapter 688. On the other side of the phone, Duan Jinghong's face turned green and red. She could clearly sense Mo Ting's warning. If Hai Rui could make Song Xian famous, they could naturally throw her down from her high position. This was Mo Ting's way of ruling. He could give her the best, but she better not challenge his authority. So Hai Rui's artists were both respectful and fearful of Mo Ting. Duan Jinghong no longer dared to act rashly in fear of ruining Song Xian's future. So she forcefully suppressed her anger. Luckily, the phone call was not made in front of Song Xian. Otherwise, the situation would have been turned upside down. After returning to the van, Duan Jinghong looked at Song Xian and replied, "Fang Yu said he will investigate the truth tomorrow. Can't he do it at night? As you know his wife. She was crippled by me." Song Xian did not say another word as she closed her eyes and got some rest. Originally, Duan Jinghong thought that Song Xian had already forgotten about the incident. But who would have thought? The next morning, Song Xian brought Duan Jinghong to Fang Yu's office and sat in his chair. "What happened on the talk show last night? Doesn't the other party know who I am?" Fang Yu was under Mo Ting's orders, so he naturally knew what Song Xian was hinting at. So he smiled and asked, "What is your identity?" "My grandfather. Her producer's brother is currently in an important position in the government." "Are you talking about your retired grandfather?" Fang Yu retorted. "Song Xian, don't you feel like you don't know where you stand?" Song Xian and Duan Jinghong were both stunned. They never expected Fang Yu to rebut her in such a way. Most importantly, Song Xian realized that there would always be someone better than her. She hated the feeling of being suppressed. She hated it to the core. "You didn't lose anything from this incident. You simply lost a little more screen time. How many artists have gone through this? Why can't you endure it when it's your turn? You even called President Mo's office last night. Do you know what President Mo hates the most? He hates people that think they're infallible. What do you mean by someone that thinks they're infallible? Someone that thinks they're important. If there's nothing else, you guys can leave first. Song Xian had never been humiliated like this since she was young. After being yelled at by Fang Yu, the rims of his eyes turned red. He wanted nothing more than to chop Fang Yu into pieces. Song Xian, let's go. Duan Jinghong knew, at a time like this, it wasn't wise to fall out with the agency. After all, Song Xian was currently on the rise and Hai Rui was the best platform in the industry. If she ended up offending Hai Rui, how was Song Xian going to face the world in the future? Remember what you said today. After speaking, Song Xian stormed in front of Duan Jinghong angrily. Her aggressive manner made the staff at Hai Rui feel extremely uncomfortable. After returning to the lounge, Song Xian sat on the chair in silence. Duan Jinghong gave Tongning some time to calm down before she patted her on the shoulder. Don't be angry. This will only last for a while. Why are you doing this to me? Actually, if you think about it, there's nothing wrong with Hai Rui. President Mo has always been a ruthless man, so it's normal for him to look down on you. Didn't you join Hai Rui because of this? As for Fang Yu, his words were indeed harsh, but they did make sense. You may have a good background, but there are plenty of people with good backgrounds out there. Just treat this as a lesson. Plus, we were the ones that crippled his wife. Just bear with it for now. After listening to Duan Jinghong's advice, Song Xian tried her best to suppress the anger in her heart. I'm going to make him kneel in front of me sooner or later. Yes, our Song Xian's abilities are invincible. It was good to be confident, but one shouldn't think too highly of themselves. Fang Yu was actually quite confused. According to Song Xian's development, she was undoubtedly at the peak of her popularity. Although she was arrogant and had a stubborn personality, it wasn't enough for Mo Ting to personally restrict her development. She had no intention of revealing the truth because she didn't know what Fang Yu would do when the time came. Although she could confirm it now, it was still a fact. Since Song Xian liked to play cat and mouse then, she was going to play along to the end. That morning, Bai Lihua returned to the Bei family home. After her identity was confirmed, Elder Bei found out about the hardships she had suffered over the years, and was prepared to welcome his daughter home with dignity. Tongning couldn't move around freely, so she did not go with Bai Lihua, even though she also wanted to meet Mo Ting's grandfather. Ever since Chen Xingyan and Zihao confessed to each other, Chen Xingyan suddenly looked like a young girl in love. As a result, the competition between her and Ling Long became more intense. But the director was willing to give her more and more opportunities. As a result, her attitude towards every scene became more and more serious. To have someone compete with you for something, the feeling of racing against time was both lovable and hateful. But Tongning's improvement was obvious to all. The director did not tell her that everything was arranged by Zihao, nor did he tell her that every single scene she took part in was an actual shoot. At the beginning, Ling Long still had the advantage. But with everyone helping Chen Xingyan, Ling Long had to admit that Chen Xingyan improved by leaps and bounds. That night, Chen Xingyan had to film late into the night, while Zihao had to return to the set of Concubine Ning the next day. Zihao liked to take things slowly, because he had a lot of time in the future. But this was Chen Xingyan's first time in a relationship. She couldn't wait to stick to her lover 24/7. And not miss a single second. So, Zihao successfully stayed on set for the night. Of course, he didn't stay in Chen Xingyan's room, but in an empty space outside. The couple couldn't let others know about their relationship, but they also had to exchange flirtatious glances. Acting was quite tiring. It wasn't until dawn that Chen Xingyan took advantage of the fact that no one was looking to place a kiss on Zihao's cheek, and quickly moved away. Zihao couldn't help but laugh. You are indeed young. I'm finally old. What, you don't like me doing this? Be careful not to be seen. Zihao pushed her forehead. We are a couple, why can't we do this? This is my way of protecting you. Zihao stood up from his chair and rubbed his numb hands. I'm going back. Take care on set. When will you come back next time? Chen Xingyan's eyes followed closely with anticipation. It depends on your performance. After speaking, Zaheo turned and left. At times, even he didn't understand why he would choose such a troublesome and young girlfriend. Perhaps. Was it because he was born to be abused? Chapter 689. Recently, Song Exion's jobs hadn't been ideal. She either didn't have much screen time like her previous talk shows, or she was ignored after appearing on them. If this had happened once or twice, Song Exion wouldn't have thought much of it. But after missing out on so many opportunities recently, she felt like someone was manipulating everything behind the scenes. It's already late. Why are you sitting here? Duan Jinghong noticed Song Exion smoking on the balcony, so she quickly pulled out an ashtray. Haven't you noticed that my work hasn't been going well lately? I don't see any major problems, Duan Jinghong replied. Her show was still going on and her schedule was still full, but the results weren't ideal. I feel like Hai Rui is deliberately suppressing me, Song Exion said as she looked into the distance. That can't be. But Hai Rui has no reason to do this. Don't forget, Hai Rui doesn't only have Mo Ting, they also have Tongning. It hasn't been easy for Tongning to get to where she is today. Now that I've appeared out of nowhere to steal her spotlight, it's hard to guarantee that she won't hold a grudge against me. Song Exion did not believe that the evil things that she had done had been exposed in front of Tongning. She simply believed that Tongning viewed her as an opponent. In fact, she was a terrifying opponent. What should we do now? Duan Jinghong felt that Song Exion's words made sense. Since Hai Rui dared to do this, don't blame me for being ruthless. Song Exion put out her cigarette with a cold gaze. She was indeed talented, but unfortunately, she thought too highly of herself. It was true that Hai Rui was suppressing her, but it wasn't because of the abilities that she had always been proud of. The next morning, news of Hai Rui suppressing Song Exion spread throughout the entertainment industry. Since Tongning wanted to make things so ugly, she couldn't blame her for dealing with the matter on the table. As soon as Feng Yu received the news, he knocked on the door and entered the CEO's office. He then sat down opposite Tongning. There are already rumors going around. It's not a rumor. It was originally spread by Song Exion. Tongning replied calmly, but her gaze was still on the script in front of her. She wants me and Ting to know that she isn't someone that meekly submits to adversity. Speaking of which, I don't understand how she offended President Mo. Feng Yu was confused. Feng Yu was a little confused. Logically speaking, even though she has a stubborn personality, I have always been the one to deal with her. Tongning lifted her head and glanced at Feng Yu. She did not immediately reply. Instead, she thought about what to say before replying. I have my reasons. Tongning, you rarely keep us guessing in the past, Feng Yu said helplessly. When you guys are like this, I feel very passive. The person that tried to sow discord in front of Hua Wenfeng was Song Exion's assistant, Duan Jinghong. Tongning skipped over Hua Jingjing and directly told Feng Yu about Song Exion's other crime. Now you should understand why Ting gave the order he did. Are you sure? Feng Yu was still confused. Hua Wenfeng once came to Hai Rui to identify the mastermind, but she couldn't find the culprit no matter how hard she searched. At that time, we all assumed that the culprit wasn't from Hai Rui. But in reality she simply changed her appearance, Tongning explained. She did not tell Feng Yu that Xiao Yu had identified the limited edition bag. Based on this alone, we can't be certain that Duan Jinghong was the culprit. So, Ting arranged for someone to edit a photo of Duan Jinghong with short hair and no makeup before sending it to Hua Wenfeng for confirmation. Guess what happened? Needless to say, since Tongning asked this, it meant that the culprit had been confirmed. These two are really cunning. Just a little bit more and they would have escaped. But God's net has a long and wide range. Feng Yu finally understood as he nodded his head. Why didn't you call the police? Tongning put down her script and picked up her glass of milk as she replied with a deeper meaning. Because it's not time yet. She wanted Duan Jinghong and Song Exion to have a taste of being bitten and poisoned by a dog. But right now the public are all talking about it. Just use another artist to divert attention, Tongning instructed. Feng Yu, I understand how you feel. Song Exion is indeed a talented person, But a talented person that kills without leaving a trace will only hurt more innocent people in order to achieve her own goals. Don't worry, I have never been soft-hearted when it comes to this. Because she understood Fang Yu's personality, Tang Ning couldn't tell him about Hu Jingjing. At least, not now. Fang Yu stood up to leave. But a moment later he returned to the office and said to Tang Ning and Mo Ting, Song Xian wants to see you. Do you want to see her? Do you want me to reject her for you? Let's stay at the office. She can't do anything to me. Hai Rui had an open-air balcony and was surrounded by staff. According to Song Xian's scheming nature, no matter how stupid she was, she wouldn't act recklessly at a place like this. Not long after, Tang Ning stood up from the sofa. Although Mo Ting did not say a word, he gestured with his chin to the bodyguards to keep a safe distance. Soon, Tang Ning arrived at the open-air balcony. Song Xian was already sitting on a chair not too far away. I never expected you to agree to see me. Speak, what do you want? Tang Ning sat down opposite Song Xian. After looking at her briefly, she asked, Where's your manager? I've realized, not only do you know how to walk the runway and act, you've also learned a new skill. You know how to flirt with others, Song Xian said as she stirred her coffee. Song Xian stirred her coffee as she smiled. Do I make you feel pressured? Must you use President Mo's hand to suppress me? Tang Ning let out a gentle laugh as she lifted her head and looked at Song Xian. We are not from the same industry. There is no competition between us. Why should I treat you as my opponent? You are indeed good at writing songs and your writing skills are not bad. But, it's a pity that you don't have long legs that people are envious of and you don't have amazing acting skills. How are you worthy of my attention? Song Xian froze for a moment before replying in a serious tone. Since that's the case, why do you want President Mo to suppress me? It's true that I don't have long legs or acting skills, but I'm still young. When I reach your age, what achievements do you think I won't be able to achieve? Or perhaps not even half as much as I am? Tang Ning retorted calmly. Don't try to provoke me with your words. You won't get anything out of it. Song Xian, you better know your place. Otherwise, you may end up reaping what you sow. Hearing this warning, Song Xian suddenly let out an exaggerated laugh. So, are you declaring war on me? Based on the current you? Tang Ning, not only are you pregnant, you are already 27 years old. Even if you were as young as I am, you would still be no match for me. Did you think you've succeeded by using President Mo to suppress me? Let me tell you, you are far from it. Chapter 690. This was the first time Tang Ning had seen such a confident person. Song Xian had broken through her limits. So, she spread out her hands and waited to see what would happen. I really hate how calm you appear on the surface, but how worried you are on the inside. You are still young. Hearing these words, Song Xian threw her chair on the floor and left. Tang Ning had accurately read her mind. For Song Xian, there was nothing that made her feel worse than Tang Ning not taking her seriously. It didn't take long before Fang Yu approached Tang Ning and asked, Are you okay? What do you think she can do to me? Tang Ning asked. After all, you are pregnant. Regardless of whether I am pregnant or not, Song Xian has no chance of winning against me, Tang Ning replied in seriousness. Plus, I like it when she looks down on me. How high was Tang Ning's EQ? Perhaps after a year or two of training, it had reached a frightening level. But Song Xian was no ordinary opponent. What did Tang Ning say? Duan Jinghong asked as Song Xian left. What else can she say? Of course she won't admit to it. Song Xian scoffed. I hate people that refuse to admit to doing something. They are trash. In that case, what should we do next? Duan Jinghong asked. Now that we've confirmed that Tang Ning was the one behind the scenes and Hai Rui is trying to suppress you, what else can we do? There's still a lot we can do. It's not like I have to stay at Hai Rui. It's a two-way street, Song Xian replied coldly. Tang Ning is getting old. Judging from her expression today, it's obvious she's pretending to be calm because she can't do anything to me. I would like to see how long she can last. This was Song Xian's impression of Tang Ning's expression. But she never expected that Tongning was always so polite to everyone and never revealed a fierce expression. But was Tongning getting old? Compared to others, Song Xian had a lot of tricks up her sleeves. At least, even though she was arrogant, she still knew how to judge the situation. She knew that Tongning was currently occupying all of Hai Rui's resources. If she wanted to break free, she needed to present something that would make Tongning look at her differently. What could she do? She made it seem as if other companies were also fighting for her. Due to Hai Rui's suppression, plenty of companies extended an olive branch to her. Especially the currently rising Chung Tian, and a few other film and television companies. They were all interested in her. On one hand, Song Xian expressed her loyalty to Hai Rui, but on the other hand, she made it seem like Hai Rui was slowly losing its professionalism. She wanted everyone to know that Mo Ting, in order to let Tongning take the top spot, had indiscriminately suppressed the other artists under the agency and treated contracts and professionalism like child's play. However, she had no idea that Tongning had already used these tricks in a place that no one else could see. She wanted to make Hai Rui nervous. She wanted them to acknowledge her importance. But, after causing such a huge commotion, Hai Rui did not respond at all. But it wasn't that there was no response. At least, during Fang Yu's latest interview, he responded to the media. Is Song Xian being suppressed by Hai Rui? No one in the company has heard of this. What about the other companies offering Song Xian an olive branch? Did the company not receive any news about this? Who was Fang Yu? He was the former head of Hai Rui's PR department. How could he not deal with such a simple matter? With a simple move, he easily dispelled the doubts of the media. But Song Xian refused to accept it. She even released a photo of her having dinner with the bosses of other companies. I think Song Xian is very good at keeping a contract. Fang Yu revealed Hai Rui's bottom line with a simple contract. If Song Xian really wanted to jump ship, Hai Rui would only be responsible for paying the penalty. However, even Fang Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why was this Song Xian so stubbornly looking for trouble for him? To Hai Rui, she really wasn't that important. Plus, Tongning was simply trying to get revenge on her. She never thought she had the right to be her opponent. In reality, Song Xian did have the intention to jump ship. But she did not intend to leave so easily. At least, she wanted to make Hai Rui panic. Song Xian continued to release songs, and the response was great. As a result, apart from appearing on the entertainment news, she also managed to make a name for herself on the charts. However, over the past few days, Hai Rui had not suffered any setbacks, but Song Xian was exhausted. In the end, it was because she did not have a true backer. Just look at the female celebrities that took on leading roles as soon as they appeared. Didn't they all do it because they had a sugar daddy backing them? In the past, she was arrogant and rejected a lot of prestigious families. But now that she thought about it, it didn't seem worth it. Jinghong, what do you think about me finding a backer? Have you thought it through? Previously, Duan Jinghong had suggested to her that even if she had a bit of a background, there were plenty of people with backgrounds in the entertainment industry. So she needed to find a more stable backer. But Song Xian used to be very arrogant. She always felt that her godfather and mistress were dirty. But now, she did not respond. I told you before that the heir of Kaihuang Film and Television asked you out, but you ignored him. Do you want me to arrange a meeting for you? You need to know that his family owns half of the cinemas in the country. Song Xian took a puff of her cigarette and nodded her head. Let's meet. Does this count as admitting defeat to Tongning? How does this count? Duan Jinghong replied. Doesn't she also have a sugar daddy, Mo Ting? What we are doing now is simply returning to the starting point. That's the only way it's fair. That's right. Tongning was allowed to have pillow talk, but she wasn't allowed to find external help? You can arrange this. Duan Jinghong couldn't wait for Song Xian to admit that she took a shortcut. No, this wasn't taking a shortcut. This was a reward that a genius deserved. While Song Xian was causing a huge ruckus, Tongning was simply sleeping at home and reading her script. She didn't need to do anything to make Song Xian panic. What do you think Song Xian will do next? Long Jie was extremely curious as she helped Tang Ning peel some fruit. After all, it had been a long time since Tang Ning had met a worthy opponent. I think this child has been lacking love since she was young. Only those that lack love like to gain attention. She's feeling good about herself right now. All she wants is for boss and you to regret. I think. She has a lot of tricks up her sleeves. Tang Ning smiled casually. I'm waiting to see how much of a commotion she can create. Do you know what she's going to do? Long Jie asked as she turned to look at Tang Ning. Seeing her eyes closed, she quickly asked. Doesn't she want to embarrass me? Chapter 691. Rumor says Hai Rui is suppressing Song Xian internally to protect Tang Ning's status. The genius Song Xian, an artist that even Tang Ning is afraid of. Why is Tang Ning afraid of Song Xian? An analysis can tell you the truth. This was the latest headline published by Entertainment Weekly. It compared Tang Ning and Song Xian on the same level. As Song Xian's starting point was too high, she constantly compared herself to Tang Ning. It seemed in an instant, there was no one in Beijing that was a match for her. Only Tang Ning stood in her way. Hua Jingjing was discharged from the hospital today. As a good friend, even though she was pregnant, Tang Ning still personally went to the hospital to pick her up. Whenever Hua Jingjing was bored, she would watch entertainment news. Whenever she saw the crazy news, she would get angry. Is President Mo going to let Song Xian do as she pleases? Go home and rest. This has nothing to do with you. I'm afraid the media won't let you off the hook and reopen your scars. You're just going to let an arrogant newbie like him step on you with just a little achievement? She is currently the most popular person in Beijing. Plus, I'm currently pregnant. Is there a need to argue about it? A lesson. Hua Jingjing didn't care much about her own matters, but she couldn't stand seeing Tang Ning get bullied. Especially when a newcomer like Tang Ning wanted to step all over her head. What right did she have? Go home and get some rest, okay? Tang Ning was a little helpless as she gestured for Fang Yu to quickly push Hua Jingjing away. Apart from Hua Jingjing's constant nagging, there was another important reason. Just looking at Hua Jingjing's legs made her feel uncomfortable. She would never forget this enmity. Even though outsiders enjoyed watching a good show, arguing, those in the industry were well aware that although Song Xian appeared to be catching up to Tang Ning, it was merely a show. If she had truly surpassed Tang Ning, then there was no need for her to use Tang Ning to create hype and boost her own image. If Song Xian was smart enough, she would know how to control herself so that she wouldn't attract the public's disgust. Otherwise, the market would teach her a lesson. Of course, after letting Song Xian act so arrogantly for so long, it was time to teach her a lesson. In reality, the first to react were Tang Ning's fans. Faced with Song Xian's aggressiveness, Tang Ning's fans did not think much of it. Over the past 2 years, as long as a cat or dog has grown teeth, they would want to compete with our Tang Ning. Their parents must have never taught them to be humble. Look at which senior our Tang Ning has stepped on. Actually, after watching the show for so long, I still feel that Song Xian has unrequited love for our Tang Ning. The two of them have taken different paths, yet the public keeps comparing them. Isn't it obvious who is trying to leech off whose popularity? Tang Ning, focus on your pregnancy. Passerby, don't bother with him. Ai Ning should step out and make a stand. Although this Song Xian isn't an important person, the fans don't like it when you're being targeted. Show that bitch what a real red is. At the time, Tang Ning was in the chat group. After seeing the last message from a fan, she replied with a single word. Okay. The fans didn't notice her at first, but when they realized it was her, they started screaming. What did I just see? Are my eyes playing tricks on me? It's Tang Ning. Tang Ning replied with okay. Tang Ning stopped looking at her fans' updates. Instead, she gave Fang Yu a phone call. What other activities does Song Xian have planned? Do you plan to retaliate? Fang Yu asked. I'm afraid, if I don't make a move, Jingjing won't be able to control herself and stick her head out again. Do you want to see her like that? Tang Ning used Hua Jingjing as an excuse. Of course, this wasn't entirely a lie. After all, It was possible that Hu Jingjing would retaliate against the media. There will be a lot of activities over the next few days, including a charity concert. Okay, Tongning replied. She did not mention how she was going to retaliate or who she needed help with. Afterwards, she turned her gaze to Mo Ting, who was walking into the bedroom dressed in black satin pajamas. She smiled sweetly at him. Hubby, if you have something to say, just say it. There's no need to beg me. Mo Ting walked over to the bedside, lifted the blankets and pulled her into his embrace. Actually, it's nothing big. I just want to show off in front of the media. Tongning did not change her coquettish tone as she rubbed her head against Mo Ting's chest. Tongning did not change her coquettish tone as she rubbed her head against Mo Ting's chest. I promise, I won't let the baby in my stomach get squeezed. Mo Ting stretched out his hand and grabbed onto her chin, forcing her to look into his eyes. You know, when it comes to your safety, I never dare to underestimate it. But I also don't want to stop you from doing whatever you want, so you can do whatever you want. But if there is a safety issue that you can't handle from now on, you will no longer have any special privileges and will need my protection. Is it that strict? Tongning mumbled. What do you think? Mo Ting asked in seriousness. What if I do that? Tongning placed a deep kiss on Mo Ting's lips. No room for negotiation. Mo Ting remained unmoved. Then, Tongning lifted Mo Ting's robe and deliberately bit his chest. What about this? Thinking about Tongning's prank, Mo Ting's lips curved upwards as his eyes revealed a hint of evil. Even if you force yourself on me, I won't let go. Who would force themselves on you? Tongning leaned into Mo Ting's embrace peacefully. She was already extremely grateful for Mo Ting's understanding. In that case, do you want it? Or not? Seeing the fire in Mo Ting's eyes, Tongning bit her lip and nodded her head. Of course I want it. Actually, it wasn't hard to turn the tables and make Song Xian look bad. But Tongning did not tell anyone about it. Because whenever she wanted to slap someone in the face, she would never notify them. Charity music night. For Song Xian, every event was important. She had to admit that she was hardworking and serious. She was good at taking advantage of opportunities. Especially when she was being pressured by Hai Rui, she was still able to persevere. This was enough to prove how strong she was. That night, Song Xian was invited as a guest performer. This was the first time Song Xian was going to perform in public since writing her songs. It seemed she was preparing for the release of her EP. But she had no idea. That night she thought she could shine. Unfortunately, things in this world didn't always go according to plan. Soon night fell. In order to leave an unforgettable impression on the charity stage, Song Xian chose a black diamond-studded train dress. Tonight will be fine. Song Xian, you can do it, Duan Jinghong encouraged. Chapter 692. By the time the nanny van arrived outside the red carpet, the other celebrities were slowly making their way into the venue. Song Xian was currently the hottest person in Beijing, so there was bound to be a large number of reporters waiting outside to interview her. So as soon as Song Xian appeared at the end of the red carpet, the media immediately surrounded her. Song Xian loved the feeling of being surrounded by tens of thousands of people. It was a wonderful feeling. It was so wonderful that she felt like she was taking drugs. It was addictive. She loved to be on top. Duan Jinghong followed by Song Xian's side. Seeing the reporters following closely behind her, she couldn't help but smile. This meant that Song Xian was extremely popular. How many people in Beijing could compare to her? But Duan Jinghong's happiness did not last for a few seconds, because the Rolls-Royce that stopped at the end of the red carpet attracted everyone's attention. As soon as the figure stepped out of the car, the reporters that were surrounding Song Xian immediately screamed in excitement and rushed over with their equipment. It's Tongning. Tongning's here. Hurry up and take pictures. Ah, Tongning. Oh God, this is the most beautiful pregnant woman I've ever seen. In just a few seconds, Song Xian finally understood what it meant to fall from heaven to hell. She had always thought that she was on the same level as Tongning. In fact, She was even better than the recently retired Tongning. But she never expected that a simple appearance from Tongning would cause the reporters to go crazy. Meanwhile, the people that were originally surrounding her all ran towards Tongning. Tongning. The reporters wanted to get closer to Tongning, but Tongning simply placed her palms together and thanked them. "I'm sorry, I'm pregnant and can't stand for too long. I hope the reporters can go easy on me." Hearing Tongning's words, the reporters immediately took a few steps back. No one had forgotten that she was pregnant. As a result, Tongning quickened her pace and quickly overtook Song Xian. Logically speaking, at a time like this, the reporters were supposed to grab hold of the couple and ask them questions. But in order to catch a glimpse of Tongning, the reporters squeezed Song Xian and Duan Jinghong to the side. That's right, they squeezed. Their initial excitement had now turned into disdain. Most importantly, this scene was inadvertently filmed by the fans. There's a rumor online that Tongning is jealous of Song Xian's popularity, so she suggested to President Mo to suppress Song Xian. You actually believe such words? Why don't you see how big the gap between the two of them is? Whoever the media follows will be the king of popularity, alright? Hey, let me tell you guys a funny video. Originally, Song Xian was walking the red carpet happily, and the reporters followed her to take pictures. But as soon as Tongning arrived, no one recognized Song Xian. Not only that, Song Xian was almost pushed to the ground by the reporters. Ha ha ha, don't you guys think it's funny? This is the disparity in strength, this is the difference. Meanwhile, a few female celebrities were gossiping amongst the audience. All of a sudden, Song Xian became a huge joke. I really don't know where she gets her confidence from. Song Xian was sitting in one of the seats. Hearing the ridicule from the other artists, she couldn't help but retaliate. Although I don't know where my confidence comes from, at least I'm better than you. The female artists that were chatting with each other didn't expect Song Xian to refute them, so they laughed out loud. So what if you're better than us? Are you stronger than Tongning? Didn't you say that Tongning was jealous of your talent? Didn't you say that Tongning felt threatened by you? Look at the red carpet just now. Did you realize that you were wrong? Originally, Tongning wasn't supposed to be attending this charity gala. Yet she still showed up. What does this mean? It means that the slap across the face on the red carpet was really satisfying. Tongning is here to show you what true popularity is. Song Xian endured the provocation of 3 to 4 people, but she couldn't refute them. Because on the red carpet, not only did others not expect, even she herself did not expect, that Tongning would give her such a ruthless and heavy blow. Song Xian's confidence took a hit. All she could do was glare at Tongning, who was sitting in the VIP seat. Because Tongning's appearance was a huge humiliation to her, Song Xian's performance was affected, and she almost went off key a few times. But what did Tongning do? From start to finish, she welcomed everyone with a smile, and did not take Song Xian seriously. Most importantly, when she was performing on the stage, there was almost no response from the audience. No response. What a cruel reality. Song Xian, what's wrong with you tonight? Is it all because of Tongning? Is this necessary? Duan Jinghong knew that Song Xian's mood had been affected, but she had no idea that it was so serious that it caused her to lose control of her performance. Don't say anything. Let me have some peace. Song Xian clenched her fists angrily. Duan Jinghong took a deep breath and patted Song Xian on the shoulder. However, as soon as Song Xian saw Tongning stand up from the audience and head to the bathroom, she chased after her. Duan Jinghong was afraid that something would happen, so she followed behind Song Xian. As soon as the two women saw Tongning at the entrance of the bathroom, Song Xian immediately blocked her way. Stop right there. There were already a few female celebrities in the bathroom. As soon as they saw Song Xian blocking Tongning's way, they stepped forward. Can't you see how big Tongning's stomach is? What are you trying to do? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Song Xian asked. You're deliberately trying to make things difficult for me, aren't you? Miss Song, I don't quite understand. Tongning replied confusedly. How have I made things difficult for you? How dare you deny it? You weren't originally scheduled to attend this event. Yet you showed up tonight. Didn't you do this to put me in my place? I really have to give it to you, Song Xian. Shouldn't your worldview be reconstructed in your mother's womb? One of the female celebrities that stood up for Tongning was dressed in a light purple mini dress. She crossed her arms and smiled. We all know that you are the one that is using Tongning to create hype. Don't you feel embarrassed saying things like Tongning is afraid of you? But you can't possibly prevent Tongning from going out just to create hype for yourself, right? Now that you've suffered a setback and you've seen the difference between you and Tongning, you're blaming her for appearing at the same event as you. I would like to ask, when you were trying to create hype, did you ever feel that it was inappropriate? Did you ever imagine that you would one day be so embarrassing? Everyone in the industry knows the difference between the two of you. You're the only one that's deceiving yourself. Chapter 693. Perhaps it was because Song Xian's words were too harsh and unpleasant to the ears. Duan Jinghong suddenly took a big step forward and put some distance between Song Xian and the others. That's enough. It's not up to irrelevant people to comment on what my artist does. Song Xian felt that she had been greatly humiliated. She was so embarrassed that she wanted to find a hole to hide in. But what did Tongning do? Her expression remained the same. She did not care about Duan Jinghong at all. If it wasn't for the fact that your artist is making things difficult for a pregnant woman who is about to give birth, who would want to criticize her? You. Song Xian didn't want Duan Jinghong to be humiliated as well, so she glared at Tongning angrily and said in a trembling voice, "Is that enough?" Hearing these words, Tongning gently patted the shoulders of the two female celebrities that stood up for her. "Thank you, I'm fine. Don't worry, at least in a situation like this, they won't do anything to me." Since the person in question was no longer holding a grudge, the two women had no reason to continue making things difficult for her. But they still smiled at Tongning and said, "It's nothing." After speaking, the two women turned around and left, leaving Tongning and Duan Jinghong standing at the entrance of the bathroom. Song Xian's eyes were red. From her heaving chest, it wasn't hard to tell that she was trying very hard to control her anger. "I'm going to go get some fresh air." After speaking, Song Xian left. She felt like she was suffocating if she had to face Tongning for another second. Duan Jinghong watched as Song Xian left and looked around. Seeing that only the two of them were around, she said to Tongning, "Rumor has it that you are good at attacking people's hearts. It turns out it's true. Tongning, you are scary. You obviously know that you are more popular than Song Xian. Yet you still humiliated her at a place like this. You are scary. What about you? You obviously know that I am more popular than her. Yet you didn't warn her or stop her. Instead, you allowed her to do whatever she wanted. What were you thinking?" Tongning asked as she lifted her chin. "From what I can see, you deliberately wanted to see her embarrass herself. Did you think everyone is like you, scheming against the people around them? Today, you have humiliated Song Xian and returned the favor for using you to create hype. From now on, we don't owe each other anything." After speaking, Duan Jinghong turned to leave. But just as she approached Tongning, she heard Tongning sneer. "We don't owe each other anything? Are you sure? In this industry, my favorite method is to not owe each other anything. But, are you sure you've already paid me back for what you owe me?" Hearing this, Duan Jinghong felt her entire body tremble as her palms began to sweat. What did Tongning mean by that? Could it be that she knew something? No, this was impossible. Obviously, our understanding of this word is biased. After speaking, Tongning turned to look at Duan Jinghong and whispered in her ear, "This is just the beginning." Duan Jinghong's eyes grew wide. However, Tongning had already turned around. Of course, as people in the entertainment industry, they always liked to bluff. Especially when it came to the pregnant Tongning. The more insecure a person is, the more she needs to act fearless. Only then can she deter her opponent. So, Duan Jinghong did not take Tongning's words to heart. She simply focused on comforting Song Xian, and quickly forgot about Tongning's words. But Tongning never joked around. Tongning never refutes rumors. She speaks with her popularity. Charity dinner reveals true skill. Where's the popularity Song Exyon was bragging about? This was the entertainment news that was released that night. Obviously, the scene on the red carpet had turned Song Exyon into the laughingstock of the industry. As she was currently a little famous, there were a lot of people that were jealous of her. Now that she was being beaten up by Tongning in such a way, those that were suppressed by her naturally couldn't help but make a few sarcastic remarks. Perhaps, even she didn't know that popularity could be destroyed in such a way. Song Exyon had no idea that she wasn't as good as Tongning, and thought too highly of herself. After returning home, Duan Jinghong noticed that Song Exyon did not say a word, so she picked up her phone and said to her, "I've already arranged to have lunch with President Xiao tomorrow. Go have a shower and get some rest. Don't come out with a straight face and leave a bad impression." Song Exyon did not respond. After quite some time, she finally put out the cigarette in her hand and headed to the bathroom. There was a saying that went like this: the future was long. One day, she would make Tongning pay the price. Late at night, Tongning was lying in bed waiting for Mo Ting. As soon as she saw him return from work, she sat up and said, "I want to keep a dog in my office." "Whose office?" Mo Ting asked as he looked at Tongning. "Your office." Mo Ting's lips curved upwards as he nodded his head. "That's fine. Tell Lu Che what kind of dog you want and let him arrange it. But I need to let the doctor check it first to make sure it won't affect you." Of course. Tongning nodded her head obediently. A few days later, the entire Hairui was made aware that Mo Ting's office had a ferocious pit bull. This type of dog was known as the god of battle. Of course, since there was a dog, there was a professional dog trainer. In fact, there was a space specially reserved for the pit bull. However, no one understood why Mo Ting chose to keep such a ferocious dog in the office at a time like this. Even Fong Yu felt a little scared every time he entered Mo Ting's office. "President Mo. That thing. Why is Tongning keeping it?" Mo Ting lifted his head to look at the strong pit bull and replied half-heartedly, "She's happy. But it's very ferocious. It won't bite you," Mo Ting said as he looked at the documents in Fong Yu's hands. "Give me the documents and you can leave." In reality, Fong Yu did not dare to stay in Mo Ting's office for too long. It didn't take long before Fong Yu left. Meanwhile, Mo Ting looked at the majestic pit bull and smiled. He naturally knew what Tongning was doing. This was, of course, a feast prepared for a certain someone. Afterwards, a small staff member appeared in Mo Ting's office. If she was in Hairui, no one would recognize her. But this small staff member ended up staying in Mo Ting's office for 20 minutes. That afternoon, Song Exyon was having tea with the rumored heir of a rich family as usual. Although she tried her best to hide it, it wasn't hard for the man to see the disgust on her face. "Miss Song, you don't need to put yourself in such a difficult position. You came out to eat with me." The man's name was Xiao Yuha. He was the second largest shareholder of Kaihuang Cinema and controlled half of the new cinema industry. As audiences were currently looking for better picture quality and effects, Kaihuang invested a lot of money into the industry and imported equipment from overseas to create a top-class cinema service. He was a rising star in the film and television industry. "I'm just in a bad mood." "Is it because of Tongning?" The man was wearing brown-framed glasses and a gray-striped suit. His hair was combed neatly. "Did you know that her new film, The Lost Relative, is about to be released? It's been moved up." Chapter 694. What are you trying to say? Song Exyon was a little confused. "It's fine. I'm happy to be able to do something for you. I can limit the box office earnings of Tongning's film," Xiao Yuha smiled. "As long as it's Tongning's film, Founding Emperor is willing to skip any screening and help you vent your anger. What do you think? Would that work? Wouldn't the other people in Founding Emperor have any objections?" Song Exyon asked doubtfully. "As the young master of Founding Emperor, I can make the decision for a small matter like this. Let's just wait and see Tongning make a fool of herself." Xiao Yuha lifted his cup of coffee with his fingers. He had a mysterious and meaningful look on his face. This was his way of getting on Song Exyon's good side. Mo Ting was indeed powerful, but he couldn't interfere with the internal decisions of the film company, right? After hearing Xiao Yuha's words, Song Xian finally relaxed a little as her furrowed brows finally relaxed. But when Tang Ning's previous 2 films were released, what kind of problems had she not faced? That night, Hai Rui was still brightly lit. Duan Jinghong returned to Hai Rui because of Feng Yu's summons. But as soon as she entered Song Xian's waiting room, she noticed a woman pacing back and forth. Duan Jinghong immediately felt something was wrong. So she opened the door and looked at the woman. "Which department are you from? Can you stop pacing around?" The woman was in her early 20s. As soon as she saw Duan Jinghong, she once again hesitated. "Say something." The woman took a deep breath like she had made up her mind. She then pulled out a piece of paper from her pocket and handed it to Duan Jinghong. "What does this mean?" Duan Jinghong asked, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. "You'll know when you see it. You can take the money as long as you give it to me. The rest is in the president's office." Duan Jinghong was a little confused, but she still pulled out a wad of cash from her handbag and handed it to the woman. However, as soon as she opened the piece of paper in her hand, she froze. It contained the evaluation of Song Xian and Tang Ning from the higher-ups of Hai Rui. But this piece of paper only contained a portion of it, and it was just a draft. It must have been found by the cleaner in the bin. No wonder the woman said the rest was in the president's office. Duan Jinghong wanted to know the evaluation of Song Xian and their future plans. But how could she see the complete version? It seemed she needed to find a way to make a trip to Mo Ting's office. The best way was to find the cleaner just now. As a result, Duan Jinghong remained calm as she secretly paid attention to the cleaner's information. It wasn't easy for her to find her, so it didn't take long before she revealed her intentions. She wanted the cleaner's credit card. The young worker simply wanted a little money and did not want to take a big risk. So she laid down in the office and ignored her. However, Duan Jinghong took the opportunity to take the young worker's credit card and place it in her bag like nothing had happened. That night, Duan Jinghong was about to leave the house again, but Song Xian stopped her. "It's so late. Where are you going? You've been so mysterious lately. Go to sleep first. I'll be back before 12 a.m. Don't ask too many questions," Duan Jinghong replied half-heartedly. Song Xian sighed. To be honest, she did not expect Duan Jinghong to take care of her all the time. After all, Duan Jinghong had her own private space. So before Duan Jinghong could say anything else, Song Xian waved her hand and gestured for her to leave. However, she had no idea that after Duan Jinghong left, it wouldn't be so easy for her to return. Duan Jinghong was very careful. After all, she had helped Song Xian deal with situations like this many times in the past. Especially when she entered Mo Ting's office. She was extremely agile and did not attract any attention. Afterwards, she walked over to Mo Ting's desk and carefully pulled open his drawers. But she had no idea Mo Ting's desk was equipped with an automatic alarm system. As soon as she heard the alarm, she broke out in a cold sweat. Just as she was about to get up and run away, a large creature appeared behind her. It bit down on her calf and threw her a few meters onto the ground. "Help! Help!" It didn't take long before the dog trainer was awoken and rushed out of his room. Seeing the scene in front of him, he immediately ordered the pit to let go. But by this time, Duan Jinghong's leg was already a mess of blood and flesh. The dog trainer immediately called the ambulance, but the incident still alerted everyone at Hai Rui. Duan Jinghong was quickly sent to the hospital. After a thorough examination, it was discovered that her injury was not light. Luckily, the pit had been vaccinated against rabies. Otherwise, Duan Jinghong would not have been as relaxed as she was right now. "I want to call the police. I want to call the police." Hearing her cries, the dog trainer expressed his innocence and helped her call the police. That could be considered a good deed. In less than 10 minutes, the police arrived at the hospital and asked Duan Jinghong, "Are you sure that your company's CEO deliberately let his dog hurt you?" Duan Jinghong's eyes turned red. She was about to scream in anger, but the dog trainer said innocently, "Mr. Police, I was the one who called the police. Plus, this incident is definitely not a case of a dog injuring a person. I can confirm that this woman snuck into the president's office with the intention of taking something from the president. However, she never expected that the president's desk would automatically alert the police. Dogs are well trained, so they would definitely be on guard when a thief entered the house. I can help her apply for humanitarian compensation. But neither my dog nor I will take responsibility for maliciously hurting someone. She was the one that trespassed into a dangerous place. Do you want someone else to take responsibility for this? After hearing this, the police pointed to Duan Jinghong and asked the dog trainer, "What evidence do you have?" "Sir, our CEO's office is equipped with surveillance cameras. You can go and retrieve the surveillance footage," the dog trainer answered truthfully. Duan Jinghong was seriously injured, and she had done something wrong in the first place. So, after the police finished recording her statement, she turned her back to the dog trainer and pretended to rest. TSK, how tragic. Duan Jinghong never imagined that she would experience what it felt like to be bitten by a dog so soon. In fact, her injuries were even worse than Hua Jingjing's. How could a bull terrier compare to a pit bull? Duan Jinghong could even imagine the ferocious look on the dog's face. It was like it wanted to tear her apart. So what should she do now? She had clearly asked the worker if there were any surveillance cameras in Mo Ting's office, but the worker had told her that there weren't any. But if there really were, what was she to do? What about her legs? Duan Jinghong lay in bed in tears. She was too afraid to contact Song Xian. Slowly, a terrifying thought came to her mind. Could this be Tang Ning's revenge? Chapter 695. The more Duan Jinghong thought about it, the more frightened she felt. The more she thought about it, the more chills she felt down her spine. In the end, she found countless reasons to comfort herself. That's impossible. Tang Ning can't be smarter than Song Xian. There's no way she could have found out that I was the culprit. But everything was so coincidental. Could such coincidences even exist in this world? After the sun rose, Song Xian returned to Hai Rui on her own. However, she found out from the staff that Duan Jinghong had been bitten by a dog. Last night, someone overestimated themselves and tried to steal from the CEO's office. But unexpectedly, they were bitten by the CEO's dog. I heard that they are currently lying in the hospital, but I'm not sure if it's true. Of course it's true. That person was none other than Song Xian's manager, Duan Jinghong. The police arrived at the CEO's office early in the morning to investigate the whole story. They even checked the surveillance footage. This is a huge joke. Didn't they go for wool and come home shorn? They were caught on the spot. Song Xian overheard the conversation between the two cleaning staff. As soon as she stepped out of the elevator, she immediately gave Duan Jinghong a phone call. "Where are you?" I need to go back to my hometown. Something happened to my family." Duan Jinghong immediately came up with a lie. "Jinghong, do you know the consequences of lying to me?" Duan Jinghong entered Feng Yu's office. Before Duan Jinghong could respond, she glared at Feng Yu coldly. "Did my manager get bitten by a dog?" "Your manager? Why didn't you ask yourself? Instead you came to ask me?" Feng Yu asked in a secretive manner. "What did President Mo mean by doing this? Why did he release a dog to bite my manager? The CEO's dog is well kept in his office and doesn't bite anyone else. Why did it specifically bite your manager?" Feng Yu asked. "The police have already investigated and have seen the surveillance footage. It turns out that your manager didn't sleep well in the middle of the night and tried to steal from the CEO's office. That's why she was bitten by a dog. I don't believe you." Feng Yu predicted that Song Xian wouldn't believe him, so he turned on his laptop and showed her the surveillance footage. "Whether you believe me or not, the evidence is right here." Song Xian's expression did not look good. Especially after watching the entire footage, she never expected that Duan Jinghong would be stupid enough to break into Mo Ting's office. So she closed her eyes and turned her face to the other side. "After this, Hai Rui will announce the entire story and compensate your manager. I hope she knows what to do next. By the way, in order not to affect you too much, It's best if you keep your distance from your manager and distance yourself from this matter. After hearing Fang Yu's words, Song Xian quickly grabbed onto the back of his hand. Hai Rui can't reveal the truth. Otherwise, how am I supposed to face others? Hai Rui has an obligation to cooperate with the police to find the truth. Plus, President Mo's dog is fine. Who did it provoke? Why did it have to take the blame for your brainless manager? People who don't know might think that our President Mo is a cruel person. Song Xian had no reason to speak up for Duan Jinghong. After all, she was caught red-handed and there was even a video to prove it. However, she had no idea why Duan Jinghong would do such a thing. Before news of the incident spread, Song Xian put on a complete disguise and went to Duan Jinghong's hospital. She was afraid of being associated with the word thief. Song Xian, you're here. Hurry and save me. Duan Jinghong's legs were bandaged as she lay in bed with a pale face. As soon as she saw Song Xian, she felt like she had seen hope in her life. Save you? Song Xian pushed Duan Jinghong away in disappointment. Everyone in Beijing is about to find out about the scandal you've done. How am I supposed to save you? The police have already investigated the truth and Hai Rui is preparing to announce it. Fang Yu has asked me to stay away from you for now. So, during this period of time, you will have to work hard on your own. After speaking, Song Xian pulled out a bank card from her handbag. The money on this is enough for you to spend for the rest of your life. Take it for now. Are you planning to abandon me at a time like this? Duan Jinghong was shocked by Song Xian's actions. I'm not abandoning you. I'm simply avoiding you for now. Do you want both of us to be finished? After this period of time has passed and the spotlight has died down, you can change your name and return to my side. Duan Jinghong did not say a word. After all, as soon as Song Xian arrived, she didn't ask her why she was doing this, nor did she care about her legs. She simply wanted to give her money and send her away. After quite some time, Duan Jinghong finally asked Song Xian, "Aren't you afraid that I'll bite back at you?" "You won't. We are still good sisters," Song Xian replied confidently. In reality, the two of them had evidence on each other. If they were to betray each other, both of them would suffer. How could she compare herself to the famous Song Xian, who had a government official for a father? So Duan Jinghong simply sneered and said, "You can leave. Remember to close the door." Song Xian knew that Duan Jinghong knew what to do. So, she simply patted her on the back of the hand and told her to get some rest. Afterwards, she disappeared from the hospital room like she had never been there. It was often said that it was easy to see through a person's heart in a difficult situation. It turned out, it was actually this easy. Song Xian, I hope you continue to become more and more popular. It didn't take long before Hai Rui announced the cause and effect of Duan Jinghong being bitten by a thief. As it was an official document, and it was also signed by the police, Duan Jinghong's name quickly became famous online. Of course, it was a joke that spread across the internet. This manager is such a shit stick. She's dragged Song Xian down quite a bit. Is she a pig's brain? She stole into Mo Ting's office. She deserves to be bitten by a dog. I feel embarrassed for her. She's embarrassed herself in front of the entire nation. Hai Rui dealt with the matter in a timely manner. Although this manager has shit in her head, they still offered a humanitarian compensation. If it was me, I wouldn't have given her a single cent. She was obviously the one that got bitten. Now even when she sees Song Xian, she feels so awkward. Haha, you're not the only one. The internet was already going crazy. Although Song Xian kept a low profile, she was still affected. After all, Duan Jinghong was her manager. So it was hard to tell the two apart. I have a feeling that Song Xian knows about this, and she might be the mastermind. Song Xian's situation is quite awkward. Keeping her mouth shut is obviously the best choice. The public were discussing the incident enthusiastically. Of course, internally, Fang Yu also felt that there was something fishy going on. Duan Jinghong didn't seem like a stupid person, so how could she have made such a big mistake? Plus, why would a person that was about to give birth take care of a dog? Chapter 696. Fang Yu felt uncomfortable, so he had to clarify the situation. So he gave Tongning a phone call. But Tongning was currently at Hai Rui. If you have any questions, come to my office and ask me. Fang Yu hung up the phone and headed straight for the CEO's office. Seeing Tongning sitting on the sofa unscathed and the fierce dog was nowhere to be seen, Fang Yu's eyes filled with confusion. The dog hurt someone, so I sent it away, Tongning replied naturally. What the hell is going on? Fang Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You should at least tell me what happened, right? Don't you think this scene seems familiar? Tongning asked as she sat on the sofa and looked at Fang Yu in seriousness. Fang Yu looked at Tongning for a few seconds. Suddenly, an impossible thought flashed across his mind, but he still said, this incident has something to do with Jingjing, doesn't it? She owes Jingjing everything. She owes her leg and her career. Although she can't compare to Jingjing, this is all she can do for now, Tongning said calmly. But the coldness in her eyes was something that Fang Yu could not imagine. I've never asked for much. I simply want an eye for an eye. But I still owe her one. In a moment, I will deliver it to her on Jingjing's behalf. Was Jingjing's injury not an accident? Of course not. Xiao Yu saw it with her own eyes. Duan Jinghong appeared around your apartment on the night of the incident. In this world, as long as it's done by a person, it's impossible for them to leave no trace, Tongning replied. She then looked at Fang Yu with a dark expression. You are Jingjing's husband. If you were to find out about this incident, you would definitely not be able to control your emotions. Plus, this is a fight between women, there's no need to involve you. That's why I decided to deal with the matter on my own. After all, I still have a debt to settle with Song Xian. Fang Yu was momentarily speechless. He was shocked by the truth of the matter, and felt that people were evil. Of course, he would not sympathize with Duan Jinghong. What would happen to his innocent wife? I can't believe I was the last person to find out. No, there's still Jingjing that doesn't know. Fang Yu did not say anything else. After all, Tongning was simply helping Jingjing get revenge from Duan Jinghong. Fang Yu didn't know how he walked out of Mo Ting's office. All he remembered was before he left, Mo Ting said, prepare the promotions for the lost relative. Since we've moved it forward, we need to make sure nothing goes wrong. Afterwards, Fang Yu arrived at Duan Jinghong's office on behalf of Hai Rui to visit. After everyone had said their well wishes, Fang Yu asked them to leave and give him and Duan Jinghong some space to talk. Duan Jinghong didn't know what Fang Yu wanted to say. Perhaps he was simply warning her not to drag Song Xian down. But to her surprise, Fang Yu directly asked, was this your idea or Song Xian's? Duan Jinghong froze for a moment, unsure of what Fang Yu was asking. Was it your idea to use the dogs to bite Jingjing's leg or Song Xian's? Hearing Jingjing's name, Duan Jinghong clenched her fists nervously and shook her head. I don't understand what you're saying. I'm sure you know why you've become like this. I just want to know whose idea it was to do this. Answer me. Fang Yu's meaning was clear enough. Duan Jinghong ended up like this because of a scheme and not because of an accident. It was all for the sake of revenge. After thinking for a moment, Duan Jinghong's eyes turned red. Since Song Xian thought so highly of herself, then she was going to let her deal with these people, Song Xian. Hasn't anyone warned you not to provoke Tongning? I've seen too many people that overestimate themselves, but look at what happened to them. Look at yourself. Fang Yu's voice was cold like it came from hell. I heard that you and Song Xian have also broken up. Think about everything you've done for her in the past, and look at what she's done to you today. I have 2 words for you. You reap what you sow. Duan Jinghong was speechless. What Fang Yu said was the truth. The people in this world were scary. For example, Song Xian and Tongning. When Song Xian hurt someone, she didn't need a reason. She simply didn't like them. Yet, in this world, there was a Tongning that liked to give an eye for an eye. She didn't cause trouble, but she always took revenge. In comparison, she preferred Tongning's way of doing things. At least, Tongning was someone that held her bottom line. I know Hu Jingjing is your wife. If you want to get revenge, come at me. I can handle it. No need. You are merely an enforcer. Plus, you've already paid back enough. Fang Yu's meaning was obvious. The most important person in this matter was still Song Xian. Even so, before Fang Yu left, he still gave Duan Jinghong a small gift. The originally well-protected hospital had suddenly been infiltrated by paparazzi. As she faced the cameras, Duan Jinghong's last shred of dignity was completely stripped away. Song Xian did not even dare to breathe loudly. All she could do was hide at home and not say anything about Duan Jinghong's matter. Now that Duan Jinghong was in trouble, she had no choice but to temporarily stop her work, and Hai Rui had no intention of arranging a new manager for her. As a result, the situation was stuck in a stalemate. After everything was quiet, Song Xian couldn't help but think about what happened to Duan Jinghong. From what she could tell, Duan Jinghong was not a stupid person. But at the time, she was so focused on cutting ties with Duan Jinghong that she did not ask for the reason behind the incident. Although Hai Rui had announced the truth, what about their motive? After thinking for a moment, Song Xian gave Duan Jinghong a phone call. Jinghong, I don't understand this matter at all. I feel like someone is plotting against us from behind the scenes. Duan Jinghong held onto her phone and sneered. I was careless. This was all a complete coincidence. She would never tell Song Xian that Tongning already knew that Song Xian was plotting against them, because she wanted to watch as Tongning slowly devoured Song Xian. She always thought of herself as a genius and thought that she was invincible. But who would have thought when it came to Tongning? She was nothing more than a mantis chasing a cicada. She didn't dare to imagine how high Tongning's EQ was. As for what other insider information Tongning knew, she didn't dare to think too deeply. Jinghong, you need to tell me the truth. That way, I can protect both of us. Are you trying to protect yourself? Duan Jinghong thought to herself. I really didn't. I was simply blinded by greed. I'm a little tired, so I'm going to get some rest. After speaking, Duan Jinghong hung up the phone. Song Xian. From now on, Duan Jinghong would deal with everything on her own. At times, Duan Jinghong even hated Song Xian. After all, she had done so much for Song Xian. But what was the reality? She wanted to see Song Xian's fate. Chapter 697. By the time Hu Jingjing found out about the incident, she already felt like everything had changed. When she was bitten, she was filled with courage and wanted to protect Xiaoyu. So she did not have the time to feel fear or panic. Above all, she never imagined that there was such an ugly scheme behind the scenes. Even if she knew, she wouldn't be like Tongning and lay low for so long, all for the sake of revenge. Sometimes, she admired Tongning's patience and thoughtfulness. According to Tongning, the industry was a place for people to step on others. If you didn't set the rules and set your bottom line, there would always be people that tried to use your shoulders to climb up. Eventually, there would be a day when a corpse would be left outside without anyone knowing why. If the dog incident had not happened, Hu Jingjing may not have been so affected. But in the face of fame and fortune, if there was a shortcut, even if it meant taking someone's life, there would always be someone that would do it. Following on, there's still Song Xian. What do you plan to do? Hu Jingjing asked over the phone. Do you think she'll just sit there quietly? Tongning couldn't help but ask. But now that Duan Jinghong has dragged her down with the theft scandal, she should at least know her place. Tongning's motive was indeed to suppress Song Xian's arrogance. But she didn't think that Song Xian would learn to hold back after being slandered. Fine, let's not talk about this anymore. I noticed that Fang Yu is preparing for the promotion for your new film. Your third film is about to be released. Congratulations. Her third film. Seemed like a long time ago. But when she thought about the satisfied look on her fans' faces as they left the theater, she felt a sense of pride. No matter how many times she experienced it, she would never get tired of it. Because she was an actress that had expectations for the audience. During this time a lot happened. However, after An Zihao placed all his attention on Chen Xingyan, he did not pay much attention to Tongning. That night it was raining cats and dogs. After filming in the woods, the crew quickly drove back to the hotel to get rid of the cold. But when An Zihao arrived on set, Chen Xingyan was nowhere to be seen. So, he went to look for the director to ask about the situation. The director scratched his head as he tried to recall. After quite some time he finally replied, "My last scene was with Ling Long. Afterwards, I was told to call it a day. Did everyone forget to tell Xingyan?" And Zihao did not listen to another word from the director. He immediately went downstairs and prepared to drive to the forest where the filming was taking place. Ling Long was downstairs. As soon as she saw Zihao, she immediately stopped him. "Director, I remember Xingyan mentioned she was returning to Beijing. Do you want to give her a phone call to ask?" After Zihao heard this, he immediately called Chen Xingyan's phone. However, her phone was already turned off. It was currently raining heavily. If Chen Xingyan wanted to go somewhere, there was no way she wouldn't tell him. Afterwards, Zihao boarded his car and drove towards Beijing. At this time, Ling Long threw Chen Xingyan's phone into the bin. Let her be proud all the time. At this time, Ling Long had already returned to being a supporting character. Chen Xingyan was now the main character. But Ling Long had always held a grudge, and was always looking for an opportunity to teach the woman a lesson. Now that she finally had the chance, she was curious to see how long the woman would stay in the mountains in such bad weather. On the way home, Zihao kept thinking about Ling Long's words. There was a saying, when one is involved, one becomes confused. Why did he believe Ling Long, and assume that Chen Xingyan would return to Beijing at this time? With this thought, Zihao immediately turned the car around and drove up the mountain. But because of the heavy rain and uneven roads, there was a limit to how far the car could go. But in order to find Chen Xingyan, he couldn't care less. He didn't even have time to grab an umbrella as he got out of the car. As he stood in the rain, he searched for Chen Xingyan. "Xiaoxing. Xingyan." A voice drifted over from not too far away. Chen Xingyan thought she was hallucinating, and that she was indeed trapped in the mountains. As no one told her to stop filming, she fell asleep on the spot. When she woke up, her phone was gone. She originally planned to spend the night here, and head back down the mountain the next morning. But who would have thought? Zihao would personally come looking for her. Chen Xingyan wasn't weak. She simply couldn't believe it. As soon as she saw Zihao walk out of the rain, she did not hesitate as she pounced into his arms. Luckily, they were in a wooden hut built by the production crew, so she could temporarily hide from the rain. Otherwise, how was she going to survive the night? "Are you okay?" Zihao asked as he hugged her. "I'm fine," Chen Xingyan replied in a muffled voice. Zihao paused for a moment before he realized his clothes were completely soaked. He originally wanted to push Chen Xingyan away, but she refused to let go. "There's moisture in the air. You'll catch a cold." "I'm not afraid," Chen Xingyan replied stubbornly. "We can't stay here any longer. Let's think of a way down the mountain." Zihao noticed that the hut was not sheltered from the wind, so he removed his jacket and wrapped it around the couple. "Let's go down like this. My car is right below." "I'm not that delicate." "You're now a woman with a man. If you're not that delicate, you should pretend to be a little more delicate." After speaking, Zihao wrapped his arm around Chen Xingyan and led her out of the hut. The couple were drenched in the rain along the way, so it didn't take long before they arrived at Zihao's car. After they boarded the car, Zihao immediately pulled out a blanket from the back seat and handed it to Chen Xingyan. "Dry yourself first. You're wetter than me. You dry yourself first. Stop wasting time. I still need to drive." After speaking, Zihao started the car and returned to the hotel where the production crew were staying. Half an hour later, Zihao pushed Chen Xingyan into his room and ordered, "Go have a shower." "What about you?" Zihao did not respond. Instead, he knocked on Ling Long's door. Of course, to avoid any unnecessary misunderstandings, he dragged the hotel staff with him. Ling Long opened the door curiously. However, Zihao stretched out his hand towards her. "Give me back my phone." "I don't understand. If you do, where is Chen Xingyan's phone?" Zihao's voice carried a sense of danger. "If you don't tell me right now, I can guarantee that you will be kicked out of the production tomorrow. You should know, right? Chen Xingyan is Mo Ting's sister. Linglong's face turned pale in fear. But she refused to admit. I really don't understand what you're saying. Directorin, I'm sure you've misunderstood. Good, very good. After saying these words, Nziheo left Linglong's door. Chapter 698. A second later, Nziheo gave Tungning a phone call. He wanted to use Emoting to clear Chen Xingyan's name and get back at her. By the time Nziheo returned to his room, Chen Xingyan had just finished changing her clothes. Seeing the angry expression on Nziheo's face, she guessed he must have gone to find someone to settle scores with. So she quickly shook her head. No need. I'm helping you get back at her. Yet you think I'm meddlesome? In the past, no one has ever helped me get back at her, Chen Xingyan laughed. Aren't I still living well? It was because of this sense of self-preservation that Chen Xingyan acted on her own, and was extremely self-centered. That was in the past. Chen Xingyan once again pounced over and hugged Nziheo. Her soft body pressed tightly against Nziheo's soaked body. Go shower and sleep. Nziheo quickly pushed Chen Xingyan away, afraid that he would act on impulse and do something unforgivable. But you also need to shower. Don't worry about me. Nziheo held onto Chen Xingyan's head, preventing her from moving. I have desires. Do you believe that if you continue to act recklessly, I will eat you up? Chen Xingyan froze as she stared at Nziheo in a daze. Nziheo sighed. Just as he was about to turn around, Chen Xingyan stretched out her arms and hugged him. I don't believe you. Don't act like a delinquent girl. A woman's every decision should be made after careful consideration. So, after careful thought, everything is correct? That depends on the type of man they meet. It has nothing to do with their decisions. This was the first time Nziheo had lost to Chen Xingyan in a verbal argument. Stay here. The production and crew will find out. Everyone can tell that you like me, Chen Xingyan said with a blushing face. That will ruin your reputation. Nziheo's expression was serious. Listen to me and go to sleep. If you reject me again, I will kiss you in front of everyone tomorrow, Chen Xingyan threatened stubbornly. In the end, you don't care about your acting career, do you? Moreover, how could there be a woman as casual as you? How could you so easily let a man stay overnight? Nziheo looked like he was about to explode in anger, but Chen Xingyan rubbed her head against his back. No one has ever treated me as well as you do. You've never been so concerned about me and taking care of me. After Dad passed away, I've never felt the feeling of being protected again. I didn't keep you around because I wanted something to happen between us. I simply want to keep that feeling of being protected for a little longer. After hearing Chen Xingyan's words, Nziheo froze. After a moment, he suddenly put a jacket on Chen Xingyan. Let's go. Where to? You'll know when you get there. After speaking, Nziheo led Chen Xingyan out the door. As he walked, he made a phone call to the director. Director, Chen Xingyan has been trapped in the mountains by Linglong and got drenched in the rain. I'm taking her to the hospital right now. Please make some adjustments for tomorrow's scene. When the director heard that it was Linglong's trick, he immediately agreed. Okay, take good care of her. Nziheo did not say another word as he led Chen Xingyan away. He did indeed go to the hospital, but he simply grabbed some medicine to cure a cold. Afterwards, he took Chen Xingyan to a hotel by the sea to stay the night. The environment here was quiet and secluded. Plus, the hotel was owned by someone he knew, so there was no danger of them being followed or being discovered. Chen Xingyan never expected that Nziheo would take her to another hotel. She simply felt a little nervous and excited. Go ahead. Can you have a shower and get some rest now? Nziheo asked helplessly. If Chen Xingyan was obedient, she would have already fallen asleep by now. There's only one bed, Chen Xingyan said as she pointed to the bed beside her. You. Look at you. You're young, but why are your thoughts so complicated? Just as Nziheo was about to say that he could sleep on the sofa, Chen Xingyan suddenly moved closer and bit his lips. Nziheo's eyes grew big. Just as he was about to push Chen Xingyan away, she began to grope all over his body. And Zihao couldn't hold back as he flipped over and pressed Chen Xingyan under his body as he continued to kiss her. The couple's faces turned red. But after quite some time, and Zihao finally released her and warned, "Sleep well and don't think about anything else. Kissing is my bottom line. Don't even think about doing anything else." "Then when can we go beyond kissing? You're not even 20 yet. Don't talk to me about inappropriate things." And Zihao scoffed as he pinched Tongning's nose. "Then, can we kiss a little more?" And Zihao climbed out of bed and covered Chen Xingyan with a dry towel. "That depends on your performance. This place seems very quiet." Chen Xingyan murmured as she enjoyed Zihao's service. "This place is owned by someone I know. The environment is not bad." And Zihao replied, "Then this will be our secret base from now on. What do you think? With our identities, it seems we don't even have the chance to go on a proper date." Hearing Chen Xingyan's complaint, and Zihao's hands suddenly froze. It seemed he had taken something away from her that he shouldn't have. A girl's yearning for love and a girl's sweet desire for a lover. As a result, and Zihao originally wanted to reject her, but the words that came out of his mouth turned out to be okay. Even though he knew the consequences of being discovered, he still fell for it. Chen Xingyan was too beautiful. He didn't want to miss out on her. Meanwhile, Tongning lay in Mo Ting's arms and told him about the phone call Zihao had given her. "Ting. Do you think Zihao has crossed the line with Xingyan? Isn't this something that you're happy to see?" Mo Ting wrapped his arms around Tongning and placed his warm palms on her stomach to feel the energy of the baby inside. "You are Xingyan's older brother. If your sister has been wronged, you should stand up for her." Mo Ting did not say anything. He simply focused on the feeling in his hands. After quite some time, he finally whispered seductively beside Tongning's ear, "Hurry and give birth." "It's not up to me." Tongning supported herself tiredly. "When will the house next door be ready?" "After you give birth, the child will definitely be able to move in. Won't that be bad for the baby's health?" "It's already been treated very carefully. There won't be any harm to the child," Mo Ting replied. "I've almost forgotten what you looked like before you got pregnant. Have I gained weight? I don't look good anymore." Tongning sighed as she covered her face. Mo Ting smiled but did not respond. He simply leaned in beside Tongning's ear and said something inappropriate. "It's not that I don't look good. It's just, when it comes to doing certain things, it's not as convenient." Chapter 699. He didn't need to worry about Chen Xingyan. Otherwise, Zihao would have a much easier time. Recently, Tongning's new film, The Lost Relative, was about to be released. A 30-second trailer was playing on the giant screen in the Hairue building. Passers-by turned to look at Tongning. Although many film buffs had seen the film a long time ago, Tongning had the charm to instantly bring you into character. A cold thug was originally detached from life, but her search for her missing husband in the film was so realistic. It seemed it was easy for women to sympathize and feel pain for this kind of thing. The film was originally scheduled to be released in the summer, but due to the recent events, the public's attitude towards it was quite negative. So, Mo Ting decided to bring forward the release date to divert the public's attention to the film. This was a film that excelled in both acting and acting, so Hairue had high hopes for it. But the film was originally scheduled to be released on April 21st, and Tongning was the main lead, so it should have attracted a lot of attention. Yet, one of the theaters had no intention of showing the film at all. It was Kaihuang Theater. He was a rising star, but the speed at which he rose was shocking. Mo Ting told Feng Yu to handle it, but the other party contacted his secretary and told him that the owner of the theater had invited him and his wife to lunch. Tongning was currently 9 months pregnant, so she didn't like to move around, let alone accept an invitation. Above all, she didn't know the other party and didn't have any relationship with them. "It's just a meal. Are you afraid that I will make things difficult for you? Or could it be that Hairue doesn't care about a harmonious film and television industry, and has never considered working with a big partner like Kaihuang?" Tongning was pushed into the teeth of the storm by Xiao Yuha's words. After all, Hairue still had shareholders. Even if she didn't show up, there wouldn't be any serious consequences. But it would still make the shareholders feel uncomfortable. But the other party obviously didn't come with good intentions. In that case, let's meet up, Emoting replied. 2 days later, at a hotel owned by founding emperor, Xiao Yuha invited Emoting and Tongning to have lunch on the top floor of the hotel. President Emo and Madam Emo don't seem easy to invite. I spent quite a bit of effort on this. Dressed in a gray suit, Xiao Yuha stood tall and straight, exuding a gentlemanly aura. He indeed looked like a dragon among men. I'm about to give birth, so I don't really want to move around, Tongning replied with a smile. I'm sorry for disappointing President Zhao's good intentions. I've long heard that President Mo and Mrs. Mo's strong collaboration has made their business flourish. CEO Xiao, let's not beat around the bush. I don't think we should beat around the bush, right? Tongning spoke the entire time, acting more like Emoting's manager. After all, Emoting had no intention of negotiating with the woman. He simply didn't care. Song Xin. She is my girlfriend, I want to see her develop well in Hairue. I hope President Mo and Mrs. Mo can go easy on her, and not suppress her too much. Seeing Tongning wasn't being polite, Xiao Yuha no longer had any reservations. Mrs. Mo's third film is about to be released. I've seen it, it's a good film, but my father doesn't think it's good. That's why it hasn't been released yet. What I'm trying to say is, can we come to an agreement? You can give Song Xin the best resources, and I can give Mrs. Mo the biggest screen? So, it was because of Song Xin. I'm sure President Mo understands me the best. After all, you only have one woman, Mrs. Mo, and I can't stand to see my Song Xin suffer. Look, from the moment her manager got into trouble, no one has cared or made arrangements for her. My heart aches seeing this. This Xiao Yuha wasn't like Song Xin, who appeared calm and unfathomable. Between the lines, there was a hint of flattery and a hint of threatening. At this time, Emoting finally reacted. He placed his right hand on the back of Tongning's chair and looked at her. There aren't many people in Beijing that dares to threaten me like this. Really? In that case, President Mo, you will need to get used to it. Xiao Yuha laughed naturally. But President Xiao, you seem to have made a mistake. Emoting withdrew his gaze from Tongning. His obsidian eyes shone with wisdom. Song Xin is an artist that I have signed with. I don't like artists that go against their contracts. For example, Song Xion's contract states that she is not allowed to date during the duration of her contract. Secondly, Song Xion's matters are handled by the vice president. If I had to personally handle every artist, how tired would I be? Lastly, whether or not Founding Emperor wants to be released is up to you. But you're overthinking it. I don't care as much as you think I do. How much did you think Hairue suffered? On the other hand, President Xiao, you shouldn't threaten me. From what I see, you are the one asking me for help. After speaking, Emoting looked at Tongning and his voice was no longer as cold as before. Drink some chicken soup. You haven't been eating much lately. Okay. Tongning nodded her head obediently as she scooped herself a bowl of chicken soup and drank it. Xiao Yuha originally wanted to put pressure on Emoting. But in the end, he was left speechless by Emoting's words and couldn't find any words to refute. More importantly, the couple ate their meal right in front of Xiao Yuha, not bothering to be polite with him at all. Xiao Yuha didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He couldn't vent his anger, but he was unwilling to give up. All he could do was wait until he was full before asking Emoting. Since President Mo doesn't think highly of Song Xin, why don't you do her a favor and let her go? I'm more than willing to train her. Regarding this matter, you can call Hairue's vice president and ask about Song Xion's contract. We will do everything according to the contract, Emoting replied. President Mo, don't you think your attitude is a little strange? If you act like this, it will make me feel like Song Xian has offended you. Hearing this, Emoting lifted his head and looked deeply into Xiao Yuha's eyes. There were some things that didn't need to be pointed out. How could he possibly let Song Xian go? How could he let someone that dared to hurt Tongning and his child off the hook? From now on, if you need help with anything regarding Song Xian, feel free to contact the vice president. Also, President Zhao's hospitality has been great. If I get the chance, I will definitely return the favor. So after lunch, Xiao Yuha did not achieve any of his goals. He did not threaten Emoting, nor did he help Song Xian obtain any benefits. Most importantly, he couldn't even get his hands on Song Xian's contract. In reality, Song Xian and the three men were separated by a thin layer of glass. As soon as Song Xian heard Emoting's words and realized Emoting's attitude, she simply felt a sense of anger burn through her entire body. Because she was still being pressed down by Tongning, ruthlessly suppressed. Since that was the case, all she could do was give it her all and fight Tongning to the end. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.